right? Oh, okay. I was like, Sam's gone. All right. Welcome to your last day of Ignite.
Okay.
I know, right? Like you've made it 20 days in this classroom. So I hope that it has been as beneficial to you as you hoped it would have been. To wrap us up, I can think of nobody better than my friend Jason Massengale. Jason is our ATL and houses out of Nixa. And has been in real estate, I don't know, his whole life, pretty much. Jason, you came to KW when?
2015.
2015, and you worked somewhere else before that.
My father and I own our own brokerage.
Yep. And then did you and your dad come over?
Mm-hmm. We did.
Awesome. And then you joined the MAPS community when? The first time?
2017.
2017. So MAPS is what?
MAPS is a coaching business that is still inside of Keller Williams, and we coach real estate agents.
Yeah. And then you stopped that for a small period of time and then went back in.
Yep.
And how many people are on your roster right now?
26.
26 people he is coaching, on top of being our ATL and on top of being a just super awesome real estate agent and good friendly guy who don't ever take a drink from him because it's not what you think it is.
That sounds bad.
Oh, no, this is really bad. No. Hey, try this. It's really good. Blah, it's gross. What is that? Anywho, sorry. I had to break
Just tequila.
It was tequila. I don't do tequila. I can't do it. Can't do it. All right, well, I am going to go ahead and give you the floor. We are having our graduation at 4 o'clock. We have Jess with Bowman Insurance coming to supply us with goodies and treats and yummies. So if you do leave, please come back at 4 o'clock so that we can celebrate you. Cool? Awesome. Jason, take the floor.
Thank you. So as she said, my name is Jason Massengale. I've been an agent for 20 years, and before that, I was a builder. Before that, I managed apartments. And before that, I worked for Sutherland's Lumber, basically delivering lumber to job sites. So every job I've had has been in real estate in some form or fashion. Like she said, I've been a MAPS coach since 2017. Really just, I love all aspects of real estate. And when I was introduced to Keller Williams, I fell in love with the fact that Keller Williams is a land of opportunities. Like, man, there's so many opportunities here. Teaching, like now I found myself as an ATL. I've reduced my size of my business to where I can take other opportunities to coach and stuff. So I love that about Keller Williams. So before, when we had our own company, my father and I, like at the time I remember thinking, is this all I'm going to have? Is just have a broker to grow this? And man, to be introduced to this was life-changing. So I know some of you people in here, but just so that way I don't make assumptions, if we don't care, maybe can we just introduce ourselves, maybe start here and just go around and tell me if you've been through other of the Ignites before.
I'm Jacqueline Thompson, and no, I haven't been, this is my first time. So
Okay.
I've only been an agent since the end of March.
And have you been to any of the other sessions?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Corey Jett. I've been a real estate agent for about 6 months. I've only been at this brokerage since the 1st of May. First Ignite. And all of them, love them. Also got a little posse going on here.
Yeah, we kind of have a crew. It's
Yeah.
dangerous.
Yeah. Go next.
Carrie Tennis. We know each other, but I did commercial real estate underneath a company for about 22 years, did all of our leasing, all of our acquisitions, our sales in 5 states, and decided to join the other side when I closed out that company. And so here I am, loving life.
Like your kid.
Yeah.
Christy Rowe-Trammell. I've been here for 1 year, exactly 1 year this month. I did do the January part of the January Ignite. My husband got real sick, so I had to, we have a company that I had to work with. So I only got to do part of it, but I have done this one the whole time. Some of it is Zoom, but I've learned a lot.
Good. Clayton Carson, just got out of the Marine Corps and joined Brian's team. Have we met before? But
He's also known as AI.
done this about 2 months now, a month and a half, 2 months, something like that. But yes, first Ignite.
Awesome. And you've been through the other sessions?
Yep.
Awesome.
Sam Armour, been at 2 previous brokerages as an admin for the last 5 years, and then just joined Rob's team in March. Rob, yeah.
Awesome. So were these something that you guys did one of the other sessions of Ignite?
She's had us do them all. We did in the very beginning. And
We were so happy. We were such good students. We kept up with them the whole time.
I know.
I mean, how do you keep up with this piece of paper the entire time?
right?
We've actually done super good.
That's awesome.
I don't know who's online, but we're missing a few, like Aaron.
Aaron to be on.
Who is online?
Yeah.
So
We've had pretty loyal students, so we've done good.
yeah.
And Corey made me say,
oh, I forgot she's in Florida.
oh,
So
You suck.
can I ask you guys for a favor? Because I'm looking at here and sometimes I'm walking out here. If there's a comment back
Oh,
there, you tell me.
we'll help you. Oh, you have to also put your name,
and
phone
number.
number, and email up on the board. It's a requirement of our class.
Okay.
We have requirements. I started saying that, it sounds so
I know.
official. But I mean, for most
Every
people who
teacher.
don't have your phone number, we've had every teacher do it.
Okay. Well,
So
I mean, hey, I want to make sure that.
we're official.
Yeah.
And we send it to those who are online. So.
Okay. So there's
Good job. You get an A.
Thank you. Thank you. That's what I was working for.
Class over. We've learned enough.
Awesome. So like I said, my name is Jason Massengale, and my contact information. So before we go into this session, and you guys have been introduced to the success systems, right? Like you've been doing that every week. So how's that been going?
I like the interacting in social media. That's kind of my thing anyways. I love the letter or the notes.
No, that's not what they're called. What are they called now?
Oh, happy mail. I call them happy mail. Just because I'm not really saying anything about real estate at this point. My last 15 years have been crazy. So I'm just kind of reconnecting with people and just being like, hey, thinking of you, what's going on, giving them a little encouragement. And I've had incredible response from it. So that's been those two are like one of my love language. As far as the conversations a day, like it's like you're supposed to have what are you supposed to have, like 10 or something? Yeah, I'm not getting close to 10. I mean, I'm talking about it amongst people that I'm around, but as far as like the people that I'm not next to every day, I'm having a little trouble with that, not gonna lie.
In what way?
Just having the contacts and just getting, I mean, we're in here for 4 hours. And then I've got kids, so I'm in ball games all the time. And so I don't know if I'm a chicken. I still think I care about what others think. And so I'm like, oh, they're gonna think I'm pressuring them. But I'm getting over that fear.
I mean, what leads you to believe that they would feel like you're pressuring them?
Well, I guess I'm just like, we can chit chat and we can talk baseball all day long because that's when my kids are playing baseball. But I can't be like, I don't know how to like, just be like, so what about the real estate market? Awkward, weirdo.
The buy sell?
Yeah, you get to buy or sell. You know what I mean? So like, they all know I do it because I do post. I try to like let my relationships outside of social media be relationships and then social media. I know they see my social media, so they know I'm doing it. But I'm not, I've got to ask. And I'm a chicken.
If you were to ask, what would you ask?
I don't know. I guess that's where I'm like stuck because I'm like, are you buying or selling? Do you want to buy or sell? You know what I mean? I'm like, that's
what is something you could ask?
You could just say, hey, would you think of me if you were to look
yeah, but
for
when you're like
an
into
investment?
baseball, You're not like, hey, I don't know. I just
So
feel like it's weird.
what is something you would ask? What is something you personally, Corey, could ask that wouldn't feel like you were pressuring someone? That's about real estate.
That's about real estate? I don't know.
Are you still living over in?
Yeah, do you
whatever
still live
side
on Main
now?
Yep,
Street?
okay, so the other thing is that I'm not in a big school district. I'm in a small school district that people live and stay for years and don't buy or sell. So I'm in Morrisville, so it's like an hour north
Well,
of
you
here.
could say, have you ever thought about buying an investment property?
A lot of hunting property out there.
There's nothing. Like I could sell all day long if there was stuff for sale.
How big is the team?
The team, oh, I don't know. Well, I have junior
Which
team.
kids?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. I have
Which
5 kids. Right. So where I'm at, there is literally nothing for sale. If it is, it's few and far between. Everything like land-wise is all west. Or even, you know what I mean? If you could find hunting land right now, I mean, it's insane what it's gone up, even in our area. It's nuts. So.
Okay.
What if you didn't ask? What if you were sponsoring like the team win party?
Well, I can next year. I mean, next year I would, but
Just
this year.
So if I give you a script, preset conversation to use, would that help?
I got things tonight. All right, I'll do it.
Yeah, oh. we have to hold her
I am up
accountable.
for a challenge. I do like challenges. I'm like, all right, let's
You have to show us though. I'm gonna text you tomorrow. Going to the
So
game.
assuming we know each other.
Yeah, we totally know each other.
Hey Corey, you know, I got started in real estate about a little bit less than a year ago.
I didn't, I saw that.
Yeah. And my goal is to really build my business around people, not just anybody, but people I really like and respect like you. Do you know anyone that's kind of like you that, you know, is a good parent, that is really active in the community, and just overall just a really good person that might be looking to move this year that maybe I should be talking to?
Did you record it?
No, I mean, I can do that. I mean, really, I have had some of those conversations with people. It's also a really catty community.
Hold on. So was what I said, did that feel pushy?
No,
How did that make you feel?
I don't know. I don't know. I'd be like, you want to know? Yeah, if I knew somebody, but I don't know anybody. That's how I get out of it.
Okay, but it's in their mind now.
Totally agree. Like he's right. I
planting
know he's right.
seeds.
I know that.
It's not like your phone's gonna ring right away.
Oh, I know.
Planting seeds, growing a garden.
What about the rest of you? What's your experience been like?
Don't say that. And what is everybody else's? You don't count.
Sometimes when,
Oh,
if I'm in a position where I don't know a lot of people,
Yeah.
I'll ask them what they do. And then in turn, they'll end up asking me what I do. And then that's kind of how I.
But see, everybody knows everything. They know what I do. Like it's like tight-knit community. Like
I know, I move up there.
How are you guys?
Right.
So
I totally live.
how are you guys doing with getting it done? Like, are you finding that a challenge to?
I think the context and the conversations is the hardest to meet on the daily success system, because like I could add contacts of other agents all day long. And that's what half of my database is. And that's where my biggest struggle is like finding a sphere outside of other agents.
But Sam, don't sell yourself short, because you've been going around to like the hotels and the businesses.
Yeah, she's been doing a ton.
And so
I mean,
don't
thanks
sell
to
yourself
Ignite,
short.
Yeah. Thanks to Ignite, I've been able to like.
You're gonna do bold, aren't you?
I think
Who
it
else is
was,
doing bold in here?
I think it was Susan Heron that said to, you know, attack our niche or whatever it is that we're good at, you know, whatever we did before. And I did hospitality. So, and I kind of had that idea in the back of my mind, if I ever did become an agent, like now, that I would probably hit some hotels. So I have been kind of hopping around, and I mean, if it wasn't for Ignite, I don't know. It's definitely done what it's supposed to do. I think it's just kind of like spark you up a little bit and figure out what directions to hit, like what did Fisher say, to pull from the different levers, you know, that kind of thing, not to focus on one type of lead gen, to just, and so now I think everywhere I go, every conversation that I have is like intentional and purposeful, like just trying that out. So, but then now I can't watch a dang TV show without being like, I want to know how much that house is worth.
But even
It's
before
like
I did like came
serial
to
killer
this side,
movies or whatever. And
I
I'm
always looked at property values everywhere I've ever been in the
I know,
world,
it's
not
so
just,
crazy.
I mean, in the entire world.
And I'm pretty
So-
sure I'm dreaming about this stuff. I mean, I've been doing this for 5 years, so I don't think I ever like was so enveloped in it that I had dreams about it. But well, it's crazy right now.
That's awesome.
So
The one I think I've struggled with is the social media one, because I do in the mornings, I just barricade myself in the rooms because I was struggling with getting 10 contacts a day.
Yeah.
And then I call 200 people in the morning and boom, there were over 10 contacts typically. And then, but the one I struggle with, because I know I'm a scroller, like I will easily get sucked in and distracted. So I avoid social media like the plague during the day, just because it's absolutely detrimental to my workflow. But and then I just don't get into it in the evening either. So that's the one thing I struggle significantly with creativity when it comes to coming up with content. Brian is fantastic at it and wants to do a bunch of TikToks and stuff, but I just not yet. I'm figuring that part out.
Hey, I've been using ChatGPT and text to image for my social media stuff.
That's
You can
awesome.
do the AI stuff.
Yeah.
And
Mr.
Crazy good
AI,
and that's why we call him AI,
We do call him AI.
because we were putting together our
Value statement.
value statements, and I, of course, being bold, was like, oh, I'll go first. I knew mine wasn't good, but I didn't know it wasn't
AI?
it wasn't AI. And then he reads his and we were all like, oh, AI. So now he's AI guy. So
now it's AI.
It's just AI.
he'll forever. I
Love the engagement, you guys. I don't
So-
think I've ever had a Ignite.
I told you
you
we're
we
a
are
cool
like
class.
the bomb.
We are a cool class.
I believe it. So today we're going to wrap up the transactions. You know, something that this is not material. I'm just going to share this with you though. This last session is a little bit different, just a little bit different than all the others. And so think about it this way. And if this right here is your comfort zone, and this is where you want to be, this is uncomfortable. A lot of times when we look at this or think of it in this way, we think of the action item of lead generation that gets us through that, right? You guys heard that many times, I'm sure. Probably in all the other sessions prior to this. Like the uncomfortable zone is the comfort zone to where you want to be, you have to get through the uncomfortable part, which is lead generation, what most people talk about, right? What makes this section a little bit different than those, the previous sections is this uncomfortable zone might be going a little internal. Like this is the section where you start to pull some of the things that you've learned already, and you start to put some of the pieces together. And the reason I wanted to point this out is, so I would say most everybody in this room is probably a high D-ish. And on the DISC personality, a lot of people in this room I'm looking, and I know you're drivers, you like to go out and make things happen. You like to talk to people probably. And so for that personality, going and taking action doesn't seem like that big of a deal. If I may make an assumption, Carrie, like for you to just go and like go find 10 people to talk to, I would imagine,
Super easy.
right? Because you're Heidi, I'm gonna go take action. The other spectrum of that is sometimes it can be hard to slow down.
Yes.
Right. And so I'm going to go the other side of that. There are two personalities, multiple, but I'm going to reference putting in two categories of like there might be one person that does it comes really easy to them to slow down and think through things and harder to take action. And then there can be the other side to it where it's easy to take action, but it's hard to get me to slow down to think through it or to go internal. And so I just want you to recognize that within yourself, that if it's uncomfortable to slow down, maybe that's where you need to be. So just wanted to point that out because we're going to go through some kind of deep things. So as we wrap this up, we're going to talk about how do you make a smart money business. We're going to talk about like your why, your purpose. We're going to kind of put some of those things together. And when we talk about those things, even though you've talked about them in the past, it just becomes this thing like, as a high D, I know I can sometimes want to just move past it rather than slow down. So I just wanted to point that out. So what are your guys' thoughts about that? I'm getting a lot of.
No, I love that because I actually wrote myself a note before the end of last week and stuck on my desk here that said, because I knew like I would come into the office on Monday and we would have the holiday and I knew I would be trying to just go like gangbusters. So I wrote myself a note that said, don't do it, only do these 2 things today, period. Because if not, you're right, we're just made to just go fast and get everything check.
You are. You want to make sure,
yes, I am made to go
I can
fast.
relate with that. Yeah, I don't want to put it on anyone else.
No,
so.
true that. But just by human nature, if we feel like we have a lot to get done, we try to jam it all into the smallest time frame that we can. And that's not always what you want to do. And there were things I wanted to give more time and attention to, and there were other things that I just really needed to check off. And so I separated those between what I would just check off on Monday and then what I would spend more time on the end of the week. And I make myself reminders of that. As silly as that sounds, I'm like, okay, don't do that today. Don't be you today.
Yeah.
I don't know, be you.
I mean, don't be your normal you. Be your other you.
Slow down you.
Yeah. Be your home you, the one that's more introverted and reads and doesn't go crazy during the day. And sometimes you just have to remind yourself that we are so complex and all of us have all of those sides to us. But I really wrote myself a note and said, don't do that. Because I knew I'd make my Monday so crazy. And I didn't want to have a crazy Monday that then I would not be here on Tuesday. Or I would spend Tuesday working when I had set aside time for my family. So it was like, don't do that to yourself. It's a note.
So as we're going through this and you think that, look right here on the board. So the first section we're going to go through is set your sights on a big future.
You want to turn that into PowerPoint so that we might be able to read it? Not that it's much different. Do what? I said, would you like to turn that? It's not. That's the boss in me coming out. That's the old me. Hey, fix it.
So Gary says in the MRA, has anyone in here read the MRA?
Yeah.
Sweet, most of them. So,
hey, Amazon, if you're a Prime member, you can go get it on audio, and I listen to it, even though I've read it. I listen to it to and from work a lot of mornings.
It's on YouTube for free.
Yeah.
If you want to.
Well, it's on Amazon Prime, and it was free too, but.
Yeah. So Gary says in the MRA that to have a better chance of hitting a target, aim high. And the reason why I bring that quote up is because that's really what this is. To think big, to hit to have a big life, and you have to aim big. You have to have this big life that you're aiming for. And so that's why it starts here. And I'm going to reference a few things from the MRA as we go through. As we're going through this, and there's going to be some slides we read, can we just like take turns and maybe start here and then just go down the line? If you'll start the first one.
How you think matters, how you think in the beginning really matters.
What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I think however what you feed your mind, feed your actions. So if you have this mindset that you're going to struggle, you're going to struggle. If you have a mindset that you're going to kill it, probably going to kill it. It may take you longer, but I definitely think that your thoughts feed your output. They feed your energy.
Yeah. What do you guys think?
I think it's asking for you to set goals. Like in the beginning, you have to set goals so you have some sort of standard that you need to be living up towards. And so, yeah, thinking in the beginning, setting goals in the beginning is very important. So then it'll help you about thinking what goals you need to be making.
I like that. What else stands out to you guys?
Well, I mean, I think it is your mindset. How you think in the beginning really does matter. Are you thinking with the end in mind? And I think the biggest thing in real estate, if there's anything I've learned so far, it's that it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. There's not a destination. It's a journey. And so to have that mindset of in the marathon, you're always looking for the end, with doing what daily matters. You know, you don't win the marathon without doing the daily stuff. And so just getting your mindset wrapped around that is what comes to my mind.
I love two things that you said. I mean, I love more. Two things really stood out to me about what you said is you made the comparison between a sprint and a marathon. And Gary Keller, I've heard him say this so many times, and he says, I'm looking to have a great career, not just a great year.
Yeah.
Set out to have a great career, not just a great year. So I love that reference because you're right, it is a marathon. And the second thing is you pointed out how you think matters. You said is mindset. So true, isn't it?
Oh, it's absolutely.
It's all about your mindset. Slides us into Mindset Matters. We were just like this.
Yeah, we were totally.
So if I can share a quick story about mindset. So my son is in the Army and yeah.
Sorry, Clayton. Army versus Marine.
So my son went through this training, right? And they were training them to crawl through tunnels and breach at the end of them. Clayton, do you ever have trainings with that?
I've done a little breacher training. I've never done anything underground with breaching. That sounds horrible.
Yeah, I thought same thing. And so it was actually, and talked to him, like there was only a select few of them got selected to go through this. And so it was a privilege that he got selected to be one of the few to go through it. And his class that went through it was the last class that got to go through before they shut the training down. Yet, like, he's telling me this story and he goes, I'm in this tunnel. And he said, it's so tight, like you're packed in like this. And he goes, you're just moving like an inch at a time. And they give you this small can of oxygen. And so you've got this can of oxygen that you're holding, doing this. And you go down through this long tunnel. It's pitch dark and you don't have there's no light or anything. And here was the biggest part to this story. You get somewhere in the tunnel and the oxygen runs out. By the way, they do that on purpose.
Oh, I'm sure they did.
So the interesting thing, he's telling me his experience first, and he's like, man, it's like, I get through this tunnel and I run out of oxygen. He goes, and my first instinct was to freak out. He's like, what am I going to do? And he's like, and my son can have a dirty mouth. So he's like throwing these cuss words out. He's like, I'm just going to push through. He goes, so I just went as fast as I could. Now you're doing this like an inch at a time. He's like, and I just pushed through it. And he's like, and I breached through the wall at the end. He goes, and as soon as I breached, I just fell out. And he's like, I'm gasping for air. And he's like, I was about 75% of the way through whenever I ran out of oxygen. He goes, and then I get to go back and I get to watch all of them go through this. I probably wouldn't tell you this story if I hadn't closed the training down because I don't want to get him in trouble, but I don't think it matters since they closed the training down. What they don't tell him is, though, he now goes and watches all of the other people go through it, which, by the way, he was the first one out of all of them to go through it. And he's watching them. There is a hatch to pull them out.
Oh, yeah.
But they don't tell them that. So these kids don't know that there's a hatch to pull them out. And some of these kids would get there and they would freak out, right? Like they would let their emotions get the best of them. Now, I say this, the lesson I learned from my son with this was when we face adversity, when we're in a tough spot, like control your emotions, focus on what matters, focus on the goal, and trust yourself. And that was what he said. He was like, I had to control my emotions. I had to focus on where I was going, what I was doing, and I had to trust that I could get myself there. I was like, man, what a great life lesson, right? Like, it goes back to mindset, right? Like, think about the soldiers that were doing this training that got to that moment and didn't overcome that moment.
And had to be pulled out.
Yeah. Like, what were the emotions you think they felt?
Oh,
Failure.
Terror.
Yeah. What's another emotion?
Afraid. Yeah.
Fear.
Disappointment.
Mm-hmm. Right. And these are all emotions that we can all face. I mean, it's a different level, right? I mean, we're not in this tunnel. I think it sounds like a nightmare.
Oh.
In my mind, I'm thinking snakes, spiders. I have nowhere to go.
I'm gonna suffocate.
Yeah.
Because I can't oxygen meant something when they get it to you.
Yeah. So that was, I mean, like for me, that was all I kept thinking about was how would I respond? Would I be able to control my emotions and my thoughts in the moment? Could I redirect myself back to a place? I'd like to think I can or would. I know I can. We all can. What's that?
You lost me at spiders.
Yeah, I would have probably gotten out really fast if I felt a spider. Yeah.
So here's the first part when I mentioned this uncomfortable of going, this is the first step where we're going to go internal for a moment. So what I'd like for you to do in your book, there should be a section, and I'd like to answer these questions. Take just a couple of minutes and just write down, like, what's your mindset? Are you aligned with your heart? Are you aligned with your heart? And are you ready to take action to have a successful day? Are your feet ready to take the movements that it's going to take to get to your goal, right? Whatever that is.
I need a pen because apparently
there's some,
six
there was
is not enough in my back. Because I've taken them all out.
As you're journaling, here's something else to think about. How's your mindset changed since you started Ignite? Where do you see your mindset growing?
You want us to answer that or you want us to write it down?
Write it down first. We'll talk about it in a second. Any questions? Think about your journal. So keep finishing what you're doing. So I'll tell you something really interesting as you're writing this down. So I've taken so many of these classes in Keller Williams, and sometimes I'll try to remember something from a class. And the funny thing is, if I will write down or journal like on the book from the class, what I'm actually wanting to remember is my thoughts at the moment, not what they said. Like, I think that's what I want to go back and look at until I get there at the page, and then I look at my notes, and it's actually, I wanted to remember where my mindset was in the moment, because that insight I pulled out of it meant something to me. So that's why journaling and these things are so important. Does anyone want to share what they have or something about it?
I'll share mine. I'm not scared. So I said to positively build a business that shines Christ in all my actions and interactions. That's my mindset.
How's your mindset grown or changed since the beginning of night?
I don't know. I think I've always been rooted there. I think that's, I mean, really where I've been. So I don't know that it's changed too much. So I don't think.
Anyone else want to share anything?
I think mine's just what I said, you know, I'm in a marathon, not a sprint.
Oh.
And just that mindset of do your daily tasks, set out what your day is going to look like, complete your tasks, whatever that looks like. I still don't know, but because then it's not the destination, it's the journey. Enjoy the journey of where we're at, of getting to do the things every day to pour into people. I think that's what I'm most excited about, that I've learned the most, is taking it from being about the real estate of the transaction, which is awesome. I need that, but I'm way more about people and pouring into people, and to get to do that regardless of the transaction. God will bring the transaction, pour into the people, enjoy the daily tasks during the journey. So that's kind of where I'm at, that I've learned from shifting from starting thinking it's all real estate to ending, I get to be about people. And I've always loved ministry. I've been in ministry all my life, to then I get to do this. That's what I get to do. And I didn't even know that's what I was going to get to do. So
that's awesome. Anyone else want to share anything?
God, yeah.
I'm a lot more optimistic about my abilities to be in this business rather than just the admin, you know. Obviously I had that question roaming around for years on whether I could do this or not. And, you know, I don't, it's definitely a lot more than just knowing how to show property and open a lockbox. And, you know, like there is definitely, and I've never seen it taught this way anywhere else at other brokerages. So it was a training that I needed for sure. I mean, to just put it all in perspective, because I think we all came in this room day one and we're like, oh, what to do? Oh, pay my bills next month, you know, like, but you know, now it's kind of like, okay, now we've got like good, you know, roots to grow off of, I guess you could say, you know, like the coaching program is great, but this has been like a filler on top of that, you know, where it just really helps it feel a bit more intimate of the learning process. And yeah.
You know, I think that's a great point, what you just said there, because you said the coaching is great. And this is like icing on top of it. That's almost like how all the trainings at Keller Williams go. Because next thing you're gonna say, Ignite was really good, but man, Bold was incredible. Like, and then once you go through Bold, you're gonna say, man, Bold was really good, but man, Mega Camp was amazing. Like that's just the cycle as you grow, and you're growing to another level, and then there's another level. I mean, like it's a journey.
Well, the thing that's exciting to me, there are people who've been through Bold like 4 or 5 times. And
Mark Stewart's been like, what, 10 times, 12 times?
I was like, okay. So when I first saw this, the girls downstairs were like, well, you probably don't need to go through that, but it'd be good if you want to. And I was like, well, I'm going to go because, you know, I'm new to KW and I feel like it would be great to just go and listen to what they have. And then I'm like, whoa, okay, this would be great for anyone. Like I've sent my daughter through, what's the life class? What is it? Quantum Leap. Yeah. The first thing I ever attended at Keller Williams was Quantum Leap.
Really?
I came 2 years ago when Tim was here. And so I was like, my daughter needs to go through that. So I think everyone should go through this class, even if they've been an agent for 10 years. Just because it's insightful for one, the way that Keller Williams structures and thinks about things, but also just you'll realize you missed stuff along the way that you're like, oh my goodness, I needed to spend more time on that. That's a lot of my notes is, hey, you didn't give that enough attention. So go back and revisit that, or think of what you're missing if you don't put a strategy around that. And so I have found it just insightful from that standpoint, not necessarily all the way from where Sam's at, but just think about that from where Sam's at to me, who's done some sort of commercial for 23 years, real estate for 23 years, and both of us took something out of the exact same class.
Right.
Yeah.
And, even like Bold, all the people who've been through it and they're so excited to go again. Well, you wouldn't be excited to go again if you felt like you learned everything you could have learned the first, second, third, or 10th time. And so I'm super excited just to embrace all of the different education and learning and just networking opportunities. And so I'm excited for things like this.
And I think the reason why like Mark or Dan or myself, Adam, like whoever you name the person has been through both so many times, you're in a different place every time you take it. So you pull something different out of it. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like rereading the one thing or the MREA, you pull something different out of it every time.
Well, and it's challenging you each time. And I think our business to be challenged is.
I think God speaks to you where you're at when you're there too, and also helps push you to where he wants you to be. Yeah. And sometimes that it is just saying, hey, you didn't learn everything I wanted you to learn, or you didn't learn, you were at a different place in your life. And so go again, and I will show you. It's like reading the Bible. Who's read it once?
Yeah.
I mean, I've read it so many times, and every single time I've read it completely different. So I think it's the same concept.
Thing like about you and Adam Grady and Dan and all these people that have taken it multiple times, you never had a mindset of I've learned it all. Yeah. It's always, I want to learn more. I want to do more. And we find what we're looking for. If we've reached it, we've gone as far as we're going to go. But if we have the mindset of constantly wanting to learn, wanting to grow, our opportunity, it's endless.
Limit.
So I think that speaks volumes for those of you that have done it multiple times, for us that are new to follow that example. And if there's anything I've learned from this marketplace, I was in another KW marketplace that is totally different, but the mindset of this marketplace is one that the leaders, from the bigger groups to the leaders, they lead by example. Even our brokers are leading by example, being in the meetings and finding those things that are of value. Yeah. That the new people that come in strive to be that because they see greatness. And I think that's a gift.
Okay, I'm going to go to this next slide for a minute. I'm going to stay with what you're talking about. Oh, come on.
I just keep getting these next slides. I'm on it.
We're ready.
Well, so in Keller Williams, two of the things that help us with our mindset is the Y4C2Ts and the 6 personal perspectives. And what you were just describing to me is one of the 6 personal perspectives. Do you know which one? Anyone? You?
Probably commitment.
Not this,
sorry.
The 6 personal perspectives is another Keller Williams class. And one of the 6 personal perspectives that Gary says that to have is being learning based.
Yeah.
And you're describing to me being learning based, which all the people you just were naming are all learning based.
Yeah. And they're all great. We are in a market center that is just by far one that is not normal. And I think that is the coolest thing.
Extraordinary. You know what's funny? So does anyone know who Jen Davis is? Everyone know who Jen Davis is? Okay. So I was on a call the other day, and it was a MAP call, and Jen was running the meeting, but we brought someone else in to speak to us, right? And there's someone else who was hosting the interview. So Jen was just someone listening just like I was. What's really cool though is at the very end of it, when they finished, Jen starts flipping pages and starts telling us all of her ahas and notes that she took during this guy speaking. Even she's the vice president of MAPS coaching. MAPS has around 4,000 clients. They have around 200 or 185 coaches. And she's over all of them. And here she is out here,
Finding a house.
yeah, like sitting right next to us, listening and learning just like we are.
And I think that goes back to the mindset. Our mindset can't be that we have arrived.
Oh,
Yeah.
And I think we, in our society, we can get to that place where like, oh yeah, I got it. And I think that our mindset is everything.
I just think you have to be a lifelong learner. You have to be a perpetual learner. You have to always be seeking more information, a better way, a different mindset. I coach kids, I coach gymnastics, and if I have not had to evolve my coaching style for every single athlete and change how they see things and how to teach them, they teach me every single time I coach how there is not one way to coach anything. A back handspring is completely different. You put the kid in the place, yes, you could drill, but the kid is going to learn it. They're in their own unique way. And so all of us are that way. We will learn and relearn and teach ourselves and learn from others a billion different ways. And still we could learn again and we could, grow again. And that's what's so incredible.
Great. Who's up for reading the next one? Is it Corey or you?
Yeah.
Everybody says it's the Y4Cs, 2 Ts.
Yep.
All right. Win-win or no deal. Integrity, do the right thing. Customers always come first. Commitment in all things. Communication, seek first to understand. Creativity, ideas before results. Teamwork, together, everyone achieves more. Trust starts with honesty. Equity, opportunities for all. Success results through people.
You guys heard these before? Yeah. I love these. And this is one of the things that Keller Williams, Mo Anderson, actually gave to us and said, here's kind of like to help you get back to the right mindset. I'm in struggling in the negotiation. You know what? It's win-win or no deal. Mm-hmm. So love that. Mm-hmm. Do you guys remember from, I think, session 1, maybe, when you guys did this?
Yeah, that's how you got AI.
Mr. AI remembers it. So,
and it was good. Like, as much as I gave him trouble, like, it was really good.
It actually is.
So I was a little jealous.
It actually does fit into a T, even though it was AI.
So this being the last session, this is the 20th session that we've had. So pull that back out, what you've written before. Let's look at it, reread it. Do you need to change anything on it? Do you need to adjust? I haven't written mine. What's a good time to start working on it?
No, I wasn't saying that. I was just saying let's be honest. I'm still intimidated by it.
I feel like I have like writer's block. And I could try AI, but and I have a couple of times, but I just feel like there's so much information in here that I have this writer's block and I just can't. I spent a vast amount of years like writing stuff about talking about other people. So it's really hard for me to write about myself. To talk myself up. Like I've done that for so many people throughout the years, just like employee recognition, agents, whatever, but it's really, really hard to do about myself.
Do it for a house.
Can I help you get started?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. I'm not gonna invite you.
I don't have to if you want me to.
No, I mean you can try. Yeah.
Progress over perfection. It's never going to be perfect.
And that's where I think my mindset keeps going to perfection.
It can evolve too, friends. If I had told my 20-year-old self to do this and then told my 40-year-old self to do it now, my 20-year-old self and my 40-something-year-old self are not the same self anymore. And so don't think of it as I'm going to write it and it's one and done. Think of it as this is where I'm starting. This is what I want people to think. This is what I want to show people I am and what I want to do and where I want to go today. And if that changes tomorrow, I'll change it tomorrow. If it changes the next week, I'll change it the next week. And I tell people to visit it often and know, are you who you say you are? And are you doing what you say you wanted to do? If not, change. Either change you or change what you said you were going to do or who you are. Change or be changed.
Preach it, sister.
I mean, change is good.
What I would recommend is, remember, progress or perfection. Write it out first. When you write it out, find the things you like. And the things you don't like things you like, circle them. The things you don't like, cross it out.
Okay.
And then do it again.
Okay.
And then read it. And then if you feel like it's missing something, add something.
Okay.
Maybe even set a goal that you're gonna redo it 10 times to where you're giving yourself permission to have 9 of them that are not perfect.
Okay.
Or don't
Ooh, I
fit.
love that.
I like that too.
Like,
Love that.
like go into it knowing I'm gonna have 9 versions of this. And by the 10th one, I'm gonna find one that's pretty close.
I like that a lot.
Okay, so let's take a couple of minutes and let's write it out, review it. Ask AI what they think about it. I don't know. You can look at these questions as you're reviewing it. Does my value proposition truly reflect who I am, the value I bring, and the benefit my clients will experience working with me? Am I confident sharing my value proposition with my contacts? If not, how can I make it easier to express my values? You know, maybe to go back to what Carrie was saying, maybe what you wrote out sounded good, yet maybe it's something that you have a hard time saying and maybe need to readjust it.
And hey, Sam, it is okay to brag on yourself. We think you're pretty amazing.
Aw,
So
thanks, guys.
it is okay to acknowledge all of your amazing attributes. We think you're pretty amazing.
One more minute. Anyone want to share their value proposition?
I'm not going first this time.
Go AI.
Yep.
He's got his on repeat.
I have simplified the version that was originally conveyed just because it was stuffy.
Okay.
And then used phrasing and words that I would never. But using my resilience and self-discipline, I excel in the real estate market to deliver excellent results for my clients. With Keller Williams' extensive resources, I adapt to the industry changes, prioritize your needs, and use strategic methods to make your property dreams come true.
Good. Love it. Someone else want to share theirs?
Oh, no, I don't.
I'm redoing mine right now. Sorry.
Okay, this is what I have so far.
Again, Sam, you can
And this
redo
is
it.
even with AI, but yours is still way better. As a real estate agent, I am dedicated to prioritizing and meeting the needs and desires of my clients by providing exceptional service and personalized attention. I promise to be reliable, dependable, and loyal, always striving to go the extra mile by putting the extra effort, and I didn't finish. That's what I got.
This is it so far. No,
Really good.
no, his is better for him. Yours is better for
I
you.
like his better. Just right
But
behind.
you're not him.
I know, but I want to be. Just kidding.
Clayton.
You gotta be personalized to you.
I know. So I'm still working. I mean, AI definitely is like pretty good. I like it.
AI does whatever you tell it to do. So you told it all of that before it told you it back.
Well, I know, but it words it and puts it in little phrases that makes it. But
I'll share my experience, and doesn't mean it's right for anyone. This is just me.
no, tell it.
Like, I find that if it's authentic, I would rather be short and authentic than long and sound good.
Wordy.
Right.
Yeah, because I personally wouldn't say
That's
like,
what I just did. I was trying to make mine shorter.
yeah, if mine were too
Right.
wordy, I just wouldn't say it.
Well, that's why I think to make them do like Clayton did and
Make
do
it
the
more
wordy one.
concise.
But I like yours where you said write it 9 times before you come up with your 10.
Yeah.
And I think that's when you come up with the core. Okay, now I got it. And instead of writing it the one time and arrived, I like the challenge of writing it 9 times.
I was just thinking, I'm gonna rewrite mine where I could do it almost as an elevator pitch. Like, have you
Yeah.
heard of the elevator pitches? You gotta be able to say it in 30 seconds or less. So I can read my long one, which is 4 paragraphs long, or could I make that where I could tag it on different things and it's so short, but it says everything that I want it to say. That's harder to do.
Yeah.
Brevity is way harder to do and be meaningful, but you can. That's what I'm working on.
That's good. Anyone else? Don't have to. Anyone?
I'm still working on the first sentence and I can't get that out, but my short one is working with me. You're also working with everyone who backs me. That's not just my team, it's my vendors and all the resources at our disposal.
That's good.
That's good.
I like that.
That's really good. Really good. Anyone else want to share? You don't have to. No, I won't look at anyone. Anyone?
I'll go through these first couple sentences, but
Okay.
yeah, I'll definitely do it 10 times. Like I need just an afternoon where I can just sit in silence and do this. But ultimate goal as a real estate professional is to come from a caring place of contribution for all walks of life. I intend to spread the wealth of my knowledge to encourage others to invest in themselves through home ownership.
Oh my goodness,
I like
that's
it.
beautiful.
Yeah, I gotta tell you a little backstory. So my mom, rather than, well, she did, you know, whoop us or whatever, but like when we got in trouble when we were kids, rather than like beat us or whatever, she would write us a letter, like, I don't know, sometimes it was a few pages long, depending on what we did, but it would like make you feel like this big. And like, rather than like punish us, that was our punishment. It was like major guilt trip about how much we disappointed her.
Oh.
So like, I take my like wordsmith life very seriously. So AI is hard for me, but it's like, dang, sometimes you just, especially when we're as busy as we are, like to be able to cut corners a little bit is nice.
Can I share with you what I really liked about what you said?
What?
Is, and you guys, so either tell me what you guys think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know you super well. We've talked several times though.
Yeah.
And my interpretation is you're a very sweet person.
Mm-hmm.
You have a very sweet personality. You care about others. And everything you just said actually was very authentic to who I actually see you as.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys?
Yeah, no,
And I loved
completely
how you said that you want to help everyone from all backgrounds.
Yeah.
Through real estate. So I thought it was amazing.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, I liked it.
I'll just use that as a starter.
And you know what? Good job for getting started too, by the way.
Yes.
And being brave, just sharing it out loud.
Yeah.
I did better this time when I did the first time I was like, ugh.
We have one that for the life of me, I cannot remember, but it's our team one and it's a lot shorter. And that's the one we'll typically share. Yeah, I just cannot remember for the life.
There's no right or wrong.
Do people usually use it like in your bio or like what?
As like a
Like
value statement for why I should be selling your home.
okay.
Part of the listing presentation is how.
Okay. So like Amy and I have one just as a partnership, and I'll paraphrase it, but it really just says to be a light in the lives of those that we help through real estate. That's the short condensed paraphrase version, but it's on everything, or it will be on everything as we rebrand. And I mean, it doesn't have to be long. It's just, what do you want to leave people with? If they thought of one thing from you, what is that one thing?
There are lots of ways you can use it. You can use your listing presentation, you can use it in advertising. The best thing that you can do with it is memorize something short that you can actually repeat and say whenever you're talking to someone.
That's what I was trying to do with Rewrite.
And real estate comes up, why clients choose you. Well, a lot of my clients actually choose to work with me because.
And then you say it.
Yeah.
That's okay. I like
If
it.
you only had 5 seconds of somebody's time, what would you want to tell them? Because time is valuable too.
And there are times you're sitting at a table and a listing presentation and someone says, why should I choose you? Especially going expired. Like, why should I choose you? I'm interviewing 3 other agents. Why should I choose you today?
Mm-hmm. And I mean, the other brokerages of people that really truly don't have a value proposition is astonishing to me.
Okay, I'm going to go back to, remember this uncomfortable zone that we were talking about, that it's harder to go and look internal. Like there are personalities where it's really easy just to run, but to give me to slow down and think about my pace, to think about what potholes might be on the road. Like my personality is, I'm just going to run, and if I see a pothole, I'll just jump them. But there are some personalities like, I want to look at the road first. Is it even? Is it uphill? Where do I need to conserve my energy? Where I'm just like, I'm just going to run. Like the hard thing for me is to slow down and look at it.
Oh, see, I'm a planner though. So I'm going to run real fast, but I'm going to plan that journey of running real fast. So I'm kind of both ends of that spectrum. And so it's sometimes hard. And sometimes I'm planning on the run, don't get me wrong, but I definitely see like all of the statements everybody's made, they all have uniqueness, but they all have so many similarities. And that is what's so like, it's like breath, you know, just a breath of fresh air, that even though you think it's unique, it's also because of the organization we're with, they all are kind of touching on the same things. And so I think that the biggest thing coming into KW is that you have not just your team, or say even if you're a solo agent, it's not just you, it's not just your team. You have the backing and support of a huge organization that wants you to be successful. And if I were in that listing presentation and somebody said, why choose me? Because nobody has more support than I do.
Nobody has, that was the other thing I learned, one I put in there is nobody has my why.
Yeah, or your.
Nobody has my why.
Mhm.
And my why is really big.
It's good.
I put that in mine too.
You did that.
Do you want to read it?
Part of it. I put in, I will find it. I will always be there to answer your questions. And if I don't know the answer, I will find it from some of my awesome KW colleagues. And I'll get right back to you.
It's good.
Good. It's the end of mine. So.
Yeah, our normal one we say is be a service, transact with integrity, and reject mediocrity in our performance for our clients.
I like that, reject mediocrity.
But that one's real short,
Yeah,
real simple,
short, condensed.
like words that are to the point. I like that.
I get it. Okay, go back to session 1 again. Remember your big life, your vision for your future. You remember when we did that? Was that Rachel that taught that? Maybe, or Shannon? It doesn't matter. So remember when you did that? So let's go back and revisit that. Let's look at that and see, is there anything that you would change on that? Now that we went through 20 of these sessions, you've had some more life experiences in real estate, go back and look at that. Is there anything you would change or adjust? Take a few minutes, look at it.
I know.
The only goal that's refined for me was that I definitely want a luxury division. But otherwise, they haven't changed. They just remain, and I keep honing forward.
So here's my challenge. As you go back and read what you put down in session 1, ask yourself this question.
Was it session 1 or was it a different session?
I think it's 1 or 2.
I just said 1 or 2.
Yeah, session 1, should be session 1.
I don't think it was our session 1.
You guys remember doing it?
What is this?
So
Your vision or your future? I don't.
your vision for your future.
Yeah, it was supposed to be session 1, but I don't think we did it.
Oh, you guys didn't get to
Mine's
it?
blank.
Yeah, mine's, I don't think I have that.
I mean, I know my big why, but I didn't write it in this class.
So this one's not just your big why. This one right here is more like your vision for your
Or
future.
no, 1.1.
I don't have it written down right here. I've done that exercise. Don't have it written down for the first thing though.
Did you guys not get to it in session 1?
And that's not it.
I don't.
I mean, I have a crap ton of notes all through session 1,
Yeah,
and
but
then
that's not
you get to the bottom of 116 and it's blank.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I've been doing them online so much I forgot my book.
Oh, gotcha.
It's next to my chair.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. So they're not your big why, okay? So don't get confused with that. This conversation is more about your life. Like for me, I mean, when I look at like all the things I want to accomplish in my life, it's not just my big why, right? Like there's more to it than just that. But we'll talk about the why in a minute. What are some things you guys, what are you dreaming of? Where do you want to go?
Where do I want to go? Who do I
I
want
mean,
to
this is you're creating a vision for your future. What's that vision look like? Do you guys know?
Our path forward is developing. It's not enough to sell them. I need to build them. My mother is a home designer and I'm going to build everything she has ever put on paper one day. That's my goal.
How about this? Let's take 5 minutes. We'll just do this. I don't have the sheet to walk through exactly how they have it. Yeah, we'll do it a different way. In 5 years, write down what your life's going to look like. And let's professional and personal, but what are some things if in 5 years we were sitting down having a cup of coffee and you're telling them about all the amazing things in your life. Like, what would you be telling me about with your career, your money, your family? You just did this?
Just did this, yeah. That's actually really funny. I did this last week just as a part of setting goals for whatever financial.
I think
Yeah.
the page in our book that, I mean, it says what topics or causes are most important to you, what gives you energy and fuels you personally.
That's different slide.
Oh, it is? Okay, I was gonna say, it kind of goes along with this, so, sorry.
Yeah,
I'm like,
a couple
it pretty
more
much,
to go through.
well, it pretty much goes along with this. Okay.
So just take maybe 3 or 4 minutes and just write down some things that if in 5 years we were talking, you would be telling me about. Because all of these things, just like we were talking about before, how she said coaching was good and this is great. We were talking about how when we go to bowls, you're gonna say, and that was amazing. Like this whole session is just building on it. So, and with knowing what team you're on, I'm not surprised you just went through this.
Yes, yeah. We've gone over goals and like what I had initially, what I had a month in, and then now what I have based off of what I know now, not long ago. And I think these ones will stick for a lot longer. But just because you set yourself expectations and goals, not knowing anything about anything
In the beginning.
and then it just doesn't mean anything later on. So,
well, I'll be honest with you, like even now, like I find myself where I have to revisit it and say, is that really what I want? Like, is that really, because at some point in time, when you start putting in the effort, you have to ask yourself, do I want this bad enough that I'm willing to put in the effort to do it?
Or if you have a life change, you know, you have a family member that gets ill, or you get ill, or you have a career change or whatever, at different points in your life, you have to say, is that really what I want?
A lot of people want to be Jen Davis, so you realize what it took for Jen to be Jen. Or Dan Holt. I mean, but the person until you realize what they actually had to do.
Sacrifices.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
All right, we'll keep moving. Who's next? Carrie?
Yes. One thing all high achievers have in common is they are working for a big why. The big why is about having a purpose, a mission, or a need that in turn gives you focus. Carrie Keller.
So what's interesting is, what does the MRA start with? Do you know?
just his story, is that what you're asking?
It does, and once you get past that.
Why?
Here's why.
He says that you have to be powered by a big why. Like it's the very first thing Gary teaches us. You get the MRA, I think it's page 74. And you know, he starts to teach us about the principles. And the very first one he says is being powered by a big why.
It's easy to lose focus if you don't know what you're focusing on and why you're focusing on it.
That's true. Christy, will you read?
Why? Because you are after extraordinary results. Why? It is the reason you get up every day and do what you do.
So in your booklet, there should be a page that has 4 questions. And in just a second, we're going to pause and we're going to answer these questions. Now, I know in previous sessions, you've talked about your big why, right? I think it's session 1. Your big why can be, you can have a really big why, you can have a smaller why. Like, there's no wrong to it. And maybe some are more powerful than others. There are no right or wrong to it. So if it's inspiring to you, it includes the people in your life, your family, your kids, your community, like that's your why. So take maybe 5 minutes. There are 4 questions. You guys find that? Mm-hmm. What topics or causes are most important to you? What gives you energy?
Yeah, it's a big part of QL. Yeah.
Actually, it's amazing how many classes pull pieces of QL into it. Yeah.
Yeah. Having done that and this now, it's remarkable. And like I've read
I've read, I think 2 of the books, but the agent and investor, millionaire real estate. But it's amazing how just all similar and it all implements, but.
Makes sense since the same people were part of
Absolutely.
probably all of them.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
But then you like listen to other people who aren't within KW and they take stuff from Gary just because it's good stuff,
But, it's kind of interesting actually, you're talking about this because like if you start reading leadership books and you read enough of them, you'll notice that they all say similar things.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they might have their own perspective on it.
Mm-hmm.
If you read enough of them, they eventually just kind of repeat.
Right. Absolutely.
Actually, military, I think it's a Marine book. The Marine leadership book is a great book. I'm trying to think what that is. A friend of mine gave it to me. It's like the tactical leadership.
Is it the Jocko book?
No, this is actually like when you're in the Marines.
Oh.
There's all kinds of books. It depends on whether it's a book or if it's just a like pub or if it's like, there's all kinds, but
yeah, I've got a buddy of mine gave it to me. He was a Marine. It's really good.
There are so many Marine Corps publications that have like everything and anything to do with leadership. And it goes down to finite examples and what you should do in case this happens and just a whole bunch of contingencies. So there's so many of them.
But Carrie, you're right. Jocko does have a tactical leadership book as well.
He has a great book too.
Yeah.
I think it's actually called something like that.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking of the one you're talking about. I think, being prior military, just certain things are ingrained in you that maybe others, it takes them a little bit longer to, because it's trained up in you, really. A lot of soldiers already have it, but a lot, they trained them up to be a certain way, just like the tunnel. Not everybody made it through that tunnel. And what the military was looking for, the Army was looking for, is who did. Because they know that whoever made it through that tunnel has certain qualities that they're going to use. They're going to use those qualities. And I when you were telling that story, I was thinking about all these trainings that I went through in the Army and how many of those were true litmus tests for whatever. And how many people got pulled out and then you saw their paths change because of that one little exercise. Yeah. And so if your whole life was built off of how did you respond in an exercise, think of where you would be today. How many times did you respond under pressure, under adversity, or under tragedy or whatever? And if somebody was picking you for certain things based upon your response, what would you want that to be? And it's kind of crazy.
Yep, it is. In order to have a big life, you really have to have a big why. I'll share with you my big why now, and I'll share with you a big why that I had that powered me in the past. And so it's okay, I'm going to share something maybe a little bit personal with you guys. And it's just something true that happened to me. So my dad and I were business partners. He was in business for like 36 years, and we worked together for 16 years before he passed. And my dad was at the time, like, mean, he had like 100 listings, like was doing a ton of business. And anyways, one day my dad comes in the office and he falls asleep at his desk. I was just like, what's wrong, Dad? Like, this isn't you. You came in here at 10 o'clock and you're sleeping at your desk. What are you doing? We had a very jovial relationship. So I was kind of giving him a hard time. And he's like, I just don't feel good. I was like, well, go home. He's like, yeah, but I got this dude. I got this dude. I was like, just go home, Dad. You don't feel good. Just go home. I'll take care of it. He's like, yeah, but you don't know this client. You have never talked to this person and you're too young. This person won't respect you. It's like, I'll figure it out. Who cares? Like, just, you don't feel good, go home. So he went home. He never came back to work. He's progressively got more sick, ended up getting diagnosed with cancer. That was February in this story. And then he passed in October. My dad was divorced. He just gotten divorced a couple of years prior to this and had to file bankruptcy after the divorce. So my dad had nobody and he had no money. And this was also coming out of the recession. So like some tough times for my dad. And here now he's put into the battle of his life. And my dad had 100 listings at that moment. And I knew like 2 of his clients, 2 of all of them. To be honest with you, they didn't really like me because they were like in their 80s. And here I am like 30 years old and I was 35. And so like, I just had to figure it out. And I knew I had to take care of my dad financially. And by the way, I was married and I had 3 kids. And so every day I came in the office and I actually took my kids to school every morning because my wife at that time was working too. And so I took my kids to school. I'd go to the office. I put in 12, 14 hours. Then I'd go see my dad. And I've seen my dad every single night. When my dad was in the hospital, I spent every night in the hospital with him. I'd eat dinner with my family and then I'd go spend the night in the hospital. I had such a big why for, at the time I was considered an individual agent. And that year I actually was my best year in real estate up to that point. Because I just didn't have a choice. Like my dad just needed me. Like there was no other choice. My why was so big that I loved my dad. And I thought, man, this is my gift to my dad is I'm going to take care of him. And there was nothing that could stop me. I fought from February till October 13th. I mean, like that was my fight. And I mean, you can ask my family, my friends, like there was nothing that could stop me. When your why is big enough, the how just shows up. Like when you have a why that just inspires you, there is nothing in the world that can stop you. And that's why it's so important. Now, mine is a tragic story. Yeah, I mean, I'm
so similar to that. It's scary.
Really?
I was 4 months pregnant with my 5th baby when I lost my husband in a motorcycle accident in 2008. And 6 weeks later, my little brother moved in with me and we found out he had Hodgkin's lymphoma. So for 9 years, my older son, me, and my dad were his caretakers. My parents moved down here from Kansas City. And I got remarried in 2011 to a man that was not anything like my first husband. My first husband was amazing. And he had 4 kids, so we had 9. In December of 16, I lost my brother to cancer in my arms. It was very violent. 5 months later, I found out I had breast cancer. And so I fought breast cancer. And then a little over a year and a half ago, I got divorced from that man that was not who he said. So now here I am with 5 kids, kind of a widow, but not really a widow. That's my why. Like, let's do this. Like, sink or swim. I have to swim. I cannot sink. Cannot sink.
And hence you're here, you've been to every session, you're participating at a high level.
Oh my gosh, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for sharing that.
So that's like where I'm going. Like life, like when you're talking about tragedies and trials, and you know, they make us who we are. They don't define us, but we can determine are they gonna make us better? Are they gonna make us crumble? and let's do this. Let's get this thing done, you know?
Yeah.
Let's strive forward. So
Thank you for being vulnerable. Sharing that.
you were just as vulnerable, so I was like, oh, I'll jump in there.
So if you know your why doesn't have to be, you know, as ours is, like ours are pretty serious. You know, now my why is a little bit different. I'm a little bit older, and my kids are older. And I know for me now, I mean, what has me coming in here every day, that has me pushing every night, is in 5 years, 4.5 now, I'm going to be optionally employed. I would have so much passive income that anything I do is because I just want to do it that day. And it's not because I need to make a dime.
That's what I wrote for mine. That it says passive growth income stream that allows me to bless others, period.
That'd be amazing.
I don't necessarily have to work. I choose to work now, even now, but I want a passive income stream that just allows me to just flow blessings to people. I didn't put a timeline on it though, but that inspires me to put a timeline.
I can tell you by the end of 2027, my goal is to have 30,000 a month in passive income.
Yeah.
So I can have 10,000 to live on, 10,000 to invest, and 10,000 to give back.
Yeah,
That's so
to
good.
bless others.
That's my,
So awesome.
that's what
It's so
inspires
much
me.
fun to give. There's nothing better than to give.
So, well, that got heavy. Sorry, guys.
No,
Yeah.
it's good stuff.
So, we kick off the.
It did.
So, as we were saying, your big why actually powers, or your big why powers your big life. You know, I mean, think back even to just go a different route for a second. Gary Keller, could any of us be sitting here today if, like, what if Gary made a different decision? What if Gary back in, he's selling real estate and said, you know, I can make some good money. I'm just gonna sell real estate. Or what if he just opened up his first market center and said, hey, this is pretty good.
Well, I like in the Millionaire Mindset, he says that he changed his mindset, and when people would call his office, he would say, our world headquarters. And he was like, we only had 2 offices, but he said we had to change. We had to make it bigger. So he goes, we became the world headquarters. And then today, look, it is the world headquarters. So.
That's true. Yeah. Anyone want to share their big why? You don't have to.
It's just simply that by 35, so I'm giving myself a 10-year time clock, that if I want to go into work that day, I will. If I'd rather go do whatever with what kids the Lord blesses me with by then, I can just go do it with them. So that's just it's my teeter-totter right now. It's just working my butt off for the next 10 years, learning in all aspects of real estate, and then hopefully at that 10-year mark, my goals with units owned will have been met, and what math I've done that'll project to whatever I have passively enough to say, yep, that's a good number.
It's good. I like it.
I just want to save all the cats and have a cat cafe. Break up this seriousness.
You know, I actually
love
have a client in New York City that her passion is cats, and she has a cat nonprofit rescue.
Wow.
And it's actually a really interesting business because she also works at a pet store 2 days a week. And that's
real estate.
And where her business comes from is 100% from the people she meets at the pet store.
Wow.
I've been teetering on volunteering.
You don't think you can talk to the people at the Come on now.
Well, we're like, who does she have things in common with?
Right, those
The pet
people that are
people.
coming in with the pets.
Yeah.
Baseball game.
So she has a certain amount where she donates to her rescue per closing, and she lets everybody at the pet store know about it. And so she's created
So
this.
they all want to help her donate to the rescue.
Which is her rescue.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
That's hilarious.
I know, right? That
That
has
is-
never been my thing I would have picked.
No.
Well, no.
No offense, Sam. I'm glad someone loves
Sam,
cats.
I won't be able to come to the cat cafe.
house.
Cats trying to kill me. I'm so allergic, so I will just have to give you money. Just
Would you
send
like to share
me.
yours? You don't have to.
Mine is to show my children that a life of joy is not just achievable, but creatable.
That's so true.
Freaking sick.
That is good.
We have not had a life that taught us that for most of theirs. And that's too long, in my opinion. So enough of that.
That's good.
Life is what you make it.
Yes.
It's good stuff.
Christy, do you want to share yours? You don't have to.
I'm kind of stumped on that. I don't know. I would like to live on the lake, go fishing whenever I want, take care of my kids and take them fishing and swimming and travel.
What inspires you to come to work every day? Like, what is it that drives you to even be here?
My family, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. How many kids you have?
I have 4 boys.
4 boys.
I have 4 boys and 1 girl.
They're all
Back in the middle.
They're all grown.
Yeah.
You have any grandkids yet?
6.
6?
Oh, my goodness.
I can't wait.
Grandkids are the best, aren't they?
Oh,
How
yeah.
many grandkids do you have now?
2.
My kids skipped the middle years, just went straight to the grandkids.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't know, because I have 2 biological and then we have an adopted little one that's 7 now. And I feel like I'm living grandparenting
Yeah.
kind of with Drew because my biological kids are 18 and 23 now. And so there was an 11-year difference. So when Drew came along, they're like, Mom, you never would have let us get away with that. So I feel, and I even felt that way the minute that, because we've had him since he was 10 days old. And I have always felt like, oh, he's probably closer to the grandkid than, and then my daughter's 23. And so they're like, well, you're going to be a grandma soon. I'm like, nope, we have Drew. We have Drew. Don't do that.
My favorite thing though, when you become a grandparent, someone had an accident.
Yep.
And they're like, well, you're holding him. I'm like, I did this.
I didn't hurt him.
I'm not going to rob you of this experience.
That's right. So
Breeds
good.
character, you know. Like, it smells horrible. Someone take this.
Yeah.
Bring it back when it smells better.
I don't have to do
Bring
it.
it back.
That's hilarious.
All right, guys. So far, what are you pulling out of this? What are you walking away with at this moment?
Well, do you want to know one of my big ahas? And I should have said this the day that I figured this out. I did not know that the Keller Williams aha was agents helping agents.
Mm.
So I was when I
I
first
did
saw
not
that.
know that.
You didn't know
No.
that?
I just found out
So-
the other day. I
didn't
didn't
know
know that either.
I'm not sure it's always been that.
But it
I think
works
Mike came up with that,
perfect.
which is great.
It is super great. So for those who didn't have that, there you go.
I did not know.
Aha, agents helping agents.
And you know, I'm glad you brought that up because on most of the classes that we go to, what people remember and what they write down and remember is usually something someone else said as an aha.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I wrote a really good aha a second ago. So I set a goal to allow for imperfection, progress versus perfection. So
Yeah.
set a goal to allow for the imperfection.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I like that too.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, because I think all too often we set a goal to be perfect.
Oh, yeah, I'm very obsessive and then, you know, self-demeaning when it's
Yeah.
not perfect, so.
Yeah. So set a goal to allow
Yeah.
for that's what I wrote when you told her to do it 10 times
Yeah.
and have 9 wrong. Just set a goal for the imperfections.
I have this conversation all the time with people I coach is they'll get discouraged. I went out and I made my contacts and I just feel like nobody's wanting to buy, nobody's wanting to sell. And we'll dive in like, okay, so you had 110 conversations. Okay, you found 5 people that are interested in moving this year, just not now. You found 1 person that's willing to meet with you and maybe talk about selling their house. So you had 90 or 109 people that you talked to that didn't want to do anything to get to the 1. How many did you think it would take? Did you think all 110 would want to buy or sell?
Yes, I did.
Eventually
I'm that good.
I know, right?
No.
So I'm like,
We're gonna
oh.
leave it voicemails.
I was trying to explain to them one day, like in commercial, it took me 3 years to sell one property, which because of just the complexity of it. And if I had been so short-sighted to say, oh, I'm gonna go 30-day close, I have never seen a 30-day close in commercial. And so I don't ever set that as like an expectation, but 3 years was a long time. And it was with the national company. And there's so many times along the way when you're rewriting the contract for about the 15th time in this 3-year span that you're like, is this really worth it? Like, is this really what I want to do? And you can't be short-sighted. You have to appreciate that journey along the way. So it's kind of like the 110 conversations for one. You better figure out where your grit is now, because it's not going to be those. If you get a super easy, simple close, I'll bow down to you. I've yet to meet somebody who was like, oh, this was perfect. We put it on the market today, had a contract today, and we closed in 5 days. That just doesn't, it just is never that easy.
People just blow my mind, I gotta say.
But even those one-day contract people, when the inspection comes in, there's something. When the lender, there's something. And so build yourself enough armor. That's kind of what I teach my kids too. Build yourself enough armor that stuff ricochets off, that you let the good seep in and you let the bad ricochet, because you'll need it.
You guys know who David Goggins is?
Yes. Love David Goggins.
Have you read his book, Can't Hurt Me?
Spiritual armor. You got an armor.
I just got done reading one of them. I don't remember.
So Can't Hurt Me is his life story.
Maybe that's the one I did. Yeah.
Okay, he tells his life story. You read it?
I've not read it.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh, okay. I don't say this very often
Blow your mind.
because I prefer to actually see it physically. This might be one I think is better listening to it
because it's so deep.
Yeah, he tells in between chapters, it's almost like a podcast. Yeah. So short version, one part of this book is he decides he's going to run a 100-mile race in 24 hours. 100 miles in 24 hours. He decides this 3 days before the race and is not trained for this. He's never run this far or anything.
And his whole thing is about mindset. He's real big on mindset. So go ahead.
He said that the difference between the person that gets to 50 miles and quits and the person that gets to 50 miles and finishes is one thing. The person that finishes had already decided what they were going to tell themselves when they got to that moment of why they were doing it. He said, because the other person gets to 50 miles and says, you know what? This is almost twice a marathon, like 2 marathons. This is more than most people ever do in their life. This is pretty good. He said, but those that have already answered the question or have prepared what they're going to tell themselves in that moment actually finish the race. I thought, man, that is so good.
Mm-hmm. There was something on the the sales meeting a few weeks ago. It was right before we started Ignite, I want to say, but it was like the little snippet that they do on the end on Zoom. And he was talking about like a lot of times, especially when you're new, you're looking at your goal. You're always looking at your goal. You're always looking at your goal, but sometimes you gotta like look backwards and how far, like you're always looking at the gap between now and the goal rather than looking at the gap between where you are now and where you started at. And that helps me out a lot to know, like, it's hard for me to answer the 5-year question because it just is. And then, but when I look back at somebody who asked me that 5 years ago, and I'm like, God dang, you're doing good, you know? So like, I think that's helped my mindset a lot more since hearing that, is to focus not to focus as much on where obviously you want to focus on your goal, but to let how far you've come kind of fuel you.
Don't get discouraged by the gap of where you still have to be and maybe celebrate the progress you've made.
Right, yeah. I think that's changed my mindset.
Appreciate that journey.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any ahas so far?
Everything everybody said, like, it's just super good.
A lot more conversations in the first part than I expected. So it's Good.
Well, we told you, we were the rock star class.
No practice acting.
No, not in a bad way, in a good way.
The next section is have a smart money business. So this is probably one of my favorite, well, I would say my favorite topic to talk about is probably, having a big why. And my second favorite is probably this. So I didn't choose this class that they actually asked me to, but this would have been what I would have chose because of these two topics. So far in Ignite, you've covered the first 5. So lead generate, capture, and convert to appointments, present to buyers and sellers to get agreements, show buyers and market sellers, write and negotiate contracts, coordinate the sale to close. And this section is about managing the money. I don't feel like we talk about that enough, right? Like, I think the reason why is because I think there's such a focus of getting off the ground. So I think there's a reason for it. And yet I still don't think we talk about it enough because you work so hard to get to that point, and we want to make sure that we're building it the right way. So where does your commission dollars go? Sell a $300,000 taxes, right? Sell a $300,000 house. What's your how much money do you get?
30% of that.
3. I wish it was 30.
So,
woo!
No,
Like, I want to
sorry,
be on your
sorry.
team.
I'm saying like after it's all said and done, taxes wise, like $7,200.
let's walk through that.
So it should be 9,000, right?
So you're just on one side.
3% of 300,000.
Yeah, I was talking with tax.
Yeah, even if references taxes. So I mean, think about that. When you list a house, there's a 6%. Half that's going to your co-broke, right? So it goes to the other agent. 1/3 of it goes to your market center. So it goes to your cap. 1/3 of it goes to your business expenses. And we don't want to forget Uncle Sam. So if you do, they will remind you of that. And so you got to set something out for taxes. And so that's actually what you take home.
That's so gross.
What's that?
That's so gross.
And yet when we hear agents talk about like how much money they made, they're referencing this, don't they? Rather than saying, well, you know what, this is actually what I made.
And then your take home is divided up.
But the problem is they're also living like that. They're living like this, and they're not setting themselves up for success.
So let's be honest, I've been this person. So I have, and especially-
I have not, because I grew up poor and I don't ever want to be poor again.
I mean, in real estate, I didn't realize all the rest of this, and I didn't set money aside. I didn't have it set up the right way. I've totally been that person. So I say that, like, there's no judgment.
5 years old.
That's
When I was in the military, I never spent a dime the entire time I was in 5.5 years.
That's crazy.
I didn't spend a dime. The military provided everything I needed. I lived off that mindset. But I grew up dirt poor of, a single mom with 6 children. I was never going to be that. Never. I knew that.
So this is just an example. Let's just walk through this together. So here are 2 different scenarios. Now, I know this sounds simple, so what we're going to talk about, yet I promise you it's very profound. So $9,000 commission. So let's just say Jessica, she's the agent. So her commission that she gets is $5,760. So that's her commission to her. So she doesn't put anything in business savings. She doesn't put anything aside for taxes. So she just puts her whole commission into her bank account, right? Scenario 2, $9,000 commission. So this is how much she gets. And from that, she actually takes this and says, well, I'm gonna put some money in my business account, set some money aside for my business expenses. And then I'm gonna put money into my personal account. From there, I'm gonna put it into a tax savings account. So that way I've got money to pay my taxes at the end of the year. And then what she actually holds in her personal account is $2,419 because she was preparing for the taxes. She was preparing for the expenses she's gonna have in her business. Man, I tell you, I know so many real estate agents, probably no one in this room, but I know so many real estate agents that, I mean, they'll have $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 in tax debt. I mean, I know an agent right now that has $150,000 to the IRS, $60,000 to the state.
Back taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a big hole to take out of.
Yeah. So, I mean, now this specific agent is no one in this market center.
From what?
What's that?
From
Because
what?
they didn't
Not doing their taxes?
hold it out.
No, they didn't.
So they couldn't pay it.
Yeah, to go back to this scenario.
Living large. They're living off the whole dollar.
Hey, I'll be really vulnerable. The first year I made good money, like the first year I made really good money in real estate, I wasn't prepared for the tax consequences. So I said no money aside, and I didn't have my finances, like I didn't have a whole lot of tax deductions yet. And so I got this $30,000 tax bill and I had nothing set aside. Like in that moment in my life, it was devastating.
Yeah.
Even though I was making good money, I just increased my lifestyle without really thinking through like how much money I was going to have to pay to the IRS. And it took me a couple of years to get out of that hole. It was horrible. I learned my lesson now. So. Money is good for the good that money can do. You know, we all say we want this big life. You have to have money for it. We talked about, giving to charities, right? And to give back, like we have to have money to do that. So it's got to come from somewhere. So it's good that, we've got to focus on the profit, like not just the commission dollars, the profit. What's the actual profit? Because that's what you take home. That's what you
Not the revenue.
Yeah, no.
I have a real cool question for you.
Yeah.
Kind of off topic. Do you use the same person to do your taxes as you do like financial planning? Or do you do your own financial planning?
So I'll tell you my personal beliefs. It doesn't mean right or wrong. I have a CPA that does my taxes. I have a bookkeeper that does my books. I have someone that I put into an IRA because that pay taxes on, So, and you have a certain amount you can give to it every year. So I give to that. Outside of that, I know real estate, so I invest in real estate. If I knew stocks, maybe I would invest in stocks. I don't. I know real estate, so I invest in real estate.
Right.
So I have a CPA and then I have a financial advisor as well. And they are not anywhere close to the same person. They don't even touch. But I also pay each of my children so much money per year because you can.
Right.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of tax strategies around things that you can do. So I didn't do so good with my oldest daughter, but with my middle son, I did. And then with Drew, he's definitely by far the most set up, but I have paid them what I think we can pay them. I don't know what it is this year, but I pay them the max I can pay them each year. I think it's 14 grand now. It started at 6. Used to be 6. So I think it's up to 14, whatever it is. I pay them that each year before I do my taxes. And
the reason why I differentiated between that is because your financial advisor is looking to see how can I take what you have and grow it. Right. And your CPA is saying, okay, well, I see how much you make. How can I keep from giving? How can we keep you giving to the IRS? Mm-hmm. So like an example that I do is like, so I've got a rental property. Well, if I put a new furnace in it, which I just put a new furnace in one of my properties, and it was like 10 grand. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think he said I can deduct that off of my taxes for 7 years. Mm-hmm. So I can depreciate that for 7 years. In different repairs, you depreciate at different levels. Mm-hmm. And so by me having investment property, it keeps me from paying into the IRS. Or, I own a couple other businesses. So hopefully I'll make money. And if I have a bad year, I choose to invest more into it. So it looks like I lost money because I invested more into it. That's a write-off of my taxes.
I have a business that I make sure makes no money every year. Well, because I own a gymnastics company, so I don't want it to make any business. And it's my biggest tax deduction I own. or a half.
Or get a farm.
Or get a farm.
I have one of those
I have
too.
one of those too, though. And
What do you have?
Cattle.
Oh, do you? What kind of cows?
Black Angus and Charolais.
Okay.
And we have one llama.
Oh, okay.
so llama.
Yeah,
I've got-
so llama.
I've got longhorns, miniature goats, miniature pigs, and chickens.
Oh, I have chickens too.
Yeah.
I feel like chickens are a necessity.
I have a chicken
Yeah.
coop, but no chickens, and that's been for 23 years.
Oh, wow. They're going for a lot of money
I
right
also
now.
have a greenhouse, but nothing growing in it, so. These were all failed FFA projects of my daughter.
I got all kinds of.
Oh,
We bought a greenhouse, she never grew a thing. We bought a chicken coop, she never had a chicken, so.
so easy.
Oh, sure, but I used to work way too many hours to even care what was at my house, so.
So I'm sure you've seen this as the model that probably you learned in school, or the tax model where like, okay, my income, what comes in, minus my expenses is my profit. So this is kind of the standard formula that we see, right? I know everyone in here has probably talked to Shannon or someone in Brian, and so you guys are very familiar with how we reverse this. And we look at it in a different way and we say, how much money do I need to make this year? Like, what's my profit goal? For my profit goal, can I figure out how many homes do I need to sell? How much income do I need for this to be my profit? And where do I need to hold my expenses at to accomplish that? So we reverse the traditional model to do it this way. Now, here's another thing I want you, I know you've seen this before. I know this is not a new concept for you, yet here's the way I want you to remember this. How empowering is this model?
Yeah, not much.
How empowering is this model?
Gives you all the power.
Gives you all the power, right? Like the traditional model, although our CPA is going to look at it this way, and you know what? That's great. You know the difference between how a CEO and a CPA look at a profit and loss? You know the difference? This is a really great comparison because this actually fits into here. Your CPA is looking at it to see how can I keep you from paying more taxes? That's it. How can I keep you from paying more money to the government? Your CEO says, how can I increase profit? So they look at the same document two different ways. So when they're looking at your money and your scenario, just remember they're looking at it from two different perspectives.
Well, one's looking at it from a growth standpoint and the other one's looking at it honestly in the past.
Kind of,
I used
yeah,
to say that
sure.
about our CPA. I'm like, okay, well, you're looking at it by what we did and what we're going to owe, and I'm looking at what do we have left to grow.
Now, we're making general statements. You can talk to a CPA and they can help you plan for the future and how you can create things in the future.
They can come up with strategies
Yeah.
to help you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, a CEO is looking from this perspective. How do I increase profit, or what's my profit goal, and what activities need to happen to get this there? Cost of sale and operating expenses. So these are the two expenses you can have in your real estate business. Who can tell me what's the difference between cost of sale and expenses? Who can tell me the difference between cost of sale and the operating expenses? I know some of them are written up there.
The cost of sale also includes whoever you're paying in your business as well, your employees and all the vendors and everyone that actually creates the product and.
Well, to me, cost of sale is transactional. It's based upon that transaction. What did it cost me for that transaction? My commission, the split, whatever. Whereas my operating expenses, even if I don't have a single transaction, I'm going to have expenses still every single month. So one is like your electricity. You're going to have that no matter what. You're going to have your rent no matter what. You're going to have your car insurance no matter what. But if I don't have a single transaction, I still have these expenses.
What do you guys think?
Cost of sale is like a ever-changing thing, whereas operating expenses is a constant thing. So,
Yeah.
So your cost of sale can go down significantly if you're doing multiple transactions but your operating expense is gonna stay the same exact thing.
It's true, yeah. Anyone have any other thoughts? Who's up for a challenge?
Let's do it.
I had several people, one person, who's up for the challenge?
Yeah, let's go.
You want the
We're all
challenge?
up for a
Okay.
challenge.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you some examples and you tell me if it's a cost of sale or if it's an operating expense.
Okay.
Okay. My admin salary.
Operating expense,
Okay. Yep.
unless they're commission based.
My buyer's agent.
If they're commission based, cost of sale.
My ISA.
Both.
Tell me more.
I mean, if your ISA is based off of appointments kept or transaction closed, they could be getting a part of that commission, but if it's a self-generated lead, then it doesn't cost you anything off the operating expense, but you're also paying them salary because you're paying them a salary job. Or you could not be paying them salary and they could just be on the cost of sale.
I'm going to say exactly what you said. I'm just going to simplify it.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
If there's a salary attached to it, it's operating expense. If there's a commission attached to it, it's cost of sale.
Yeah.
It's exactly what you were saying. I was just simplifying it. Okay, what about photography? Took pictures for a house.
Photography is a operating expense because it's going to be, I mean, I guess it would depend on the type of deal you would have
Part of
figured out
marketing.
with your photographer, because operating expense could be a standard package, or if it's a cost of sale, if you're doing a luxury home and they're doing more for that luxury home, then it could be a higher cost of sale type deal, or it could just be an operating expense per, and then that's also a variable, and it's just based off of how many times in different packages you use.
I'm like literally watching you work out in your head.
Your little wheels are turning.
More, I mean,
You're going to get there at the end if I let you go long enough.
Yeah.
No, I think you're thinking the right thought patterns. That's actually the most tricky one is photography. That's what I see people get wrong the most.
Yeah.
So that was a trick question. It's operating expense. So
I wouldn't know that had I not read marketing.
the only reason is because if the house doesn't sell, you still have to pay it.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So it's operating. That's the easiest way to think about it. Like my TC, if I pay someone to do transaction and close for me and it doesn't close, do I still have to pay them the money?
Yeah.
Then it's operating expense. Like anything.
Like I said, operating expenses are gonna be there whether there's a transaction or not. So you have to think about it from that standpoint. There's a certain amount of money that it takes to do business and
Okay. And you know, it's so over here, so we have a lot of control on this side. We have a little bit less control over here because you've got a market center, your royalties, like don't have control over that. Referral fees, are you going to tell them no if they want to? Hey, I want you to work this deal and pay me a 25% referral fee. Are you going to say no? No. You're going to take the deal, right? My sister wants to buy a house. Will you sell her house, give me a 25% referral fee? Yeah. So we don't have as much control on this side. And really, unless you are a rainmaker and have a big team, this side is pretty simple. It's just your splits at the market center, your referral fees. That's really it. So it's pretty simple unless you have a big team. So any questions on this or thoughts? They're just pretty simple.
What's the best way you keep track of all of it?
Of this? Profit
He's a
and loss.
bookkeeper.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
He's a bookkeeper.
Oh, okay. I'll tell you my horror story. Okay. So
Life story. You don't have to call it horror.
no, it was a horror story. Oh, it's miserable. So I was so young and stupid, just like my ambition was bigger than my intelligence in this moment, or maybe my wisdom. How about that? And so I'm like, hey, Dad, like, I want to start a property management company.
Of course you did.
Yeah. And he's like, why do you want to do that? I'm like, well, the market's down. There are deals. we have people that want to buy them, but they'll only buy them if we manage them. And my dad was like, Dad, I don't want to do it. No. So I talked him into it. And so we go out, we're buying all these houses left and right. We bought a bunch of these houses. And we had these cash buyers from China. And they came in, when they came in, they're like, we got $5 million, $10 million to spend. So like, we're buying stuff left and right. I'm using a spreadsheet. I was in trouble before I knew I was in trouble. And it was miserable. And then I hired a bookkeeper to help me get me out of this mess. And like, I never got out of it. And then when I did finally get the bookkeeper, it wasn't like I immediately like, oh, this is so much better. No, all she really told me was, you're spending too much money. You're not profitable. Oh, and I would love to say that it was just, I got a bookkeeper and everything was great past that point. I'll tell you, so this is the continuation of the story. So I started a property management company. I came to Keller Williams. This is all kind of like property management company, Dad and I. Then about a year later, came to KW. We're building out the team. We were doing ballpark 150, 160 units. I think we had 12 people on the team, something like that. And I remember talking to my MAPS coach. I tell you something vulnerable, you guys won't judge me, right?
Absolutely.
We all have life experiences. I remember talking to my coach at this time. We're selling a lot of houses. I'm personally not in production in this moment. Like the team is producing, I'm really just like going with and helping them close transactions or training or coaching. I wasn't actually going out on the appointments myself anymore. I remember talking to my coach and I was at 12% profitability. And she says, you're going out of business so slowly, you don't even realize it. I mean, my heart sank. And I bet I spent half the morning like reworking the numbers to see how I could change that. And at some point in time in my journey, I said, I'm going to draw a hard line at 40% profitability and I will never go below it. Even if I have to go back to being a single agent, I will start over. I don't care what it takes, because in that moment in my life, at 12% profitability, my kids were still young and at home. And I'm like, my overhead was about $53,000 a month. Like a couple of bad months.
You'd be bankrupt.
Yeah, like would ruin me. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, I can't do that to my family. My kids need me to hold this. Man, I cut things left and right. Mm-hmm. And I scaled way back. And in the same time frame, I lost both my parents. And so I had some life changes. And so, I reworked some stuff, but then when I went to rebuild it, I was like, this is my hard line. I don't care what, everything has to fit around this. This is just my standard moving forward. And I did it 100%. I'll still do it to this day. So. Good job. So this is in your book, by the way. You guys have this? Yeah. This is just like your checklist. You guys seen this before? Yeah. Who's next in line to read?
I think it's me, yeah. Gain clarity on your big why and plans for your future. Set your personal and business budgets. Open additional bank accounts for taxes, expenses, and other savings. Download and use the MREA charts of accounts. Purchase, download tax accounting software. Hire an accountant, CPA, attorney, tax advisor. Set dates to calculate and pay your estimated taxes. Prepare your future insurance, savings, and investments.
Out of everything we went over today, I love the beginning part of this. I think that's a really inspiring conversation. This is probably one of the most important things we could talk about today. As Keller Williams, we actually worked out a deal with a CPA that will help you if you need to get an LLC set up, they'll help you with that. If you need to have someone do your books, they'll help you with that. But we actually negotiate a package for all of our agents. So Jenkins, CPA, and Nixa, you just call them, tell them you're a Keller Williams agent, and they will get you set up. So
Heather's amazing.
Yeah, she is amazing.
She's an amazing human.
Okay.
I'll give you her information.
So that would be one recommendation. Even if you're on a team, everybody, and you probably already do, everybody should have a profit and loss. Mm-hmm. If you don't feel like you're doing enough transactions to justify getting QuickBooks yet, we have spreadsheets that puts it in the format from the MREA. Are you guys familiar with the MREA chart of accounts we're talking about?
You can
I'm
download
not,
them for
but-
free.
yeah,
I
she
underlined it for her.
That's what I filled out my like second week in Brian's team, yeah.
I missed that somehow.
The chart of accounts?
Yeah.
Okay. So I can get you the spreadsheet. If you leave me your card, I'll have one emailed to you.
Okay.
So
So the spreadsheet, the one that you get?
when I personally did it messed up, or are we talking about the one we?
Or QuickBooks,
Yeah.
which one do you like better?
He probably doesn't use either.
Oh, I know how to use
Yeah,
QuickBooks.
But I mean, do you use either or does your bookkeeper use?
My bookkeeper comes to my house and does it on my computer.
Okay.
But I'm pretty familiar with QuickBooks. In the beginning, I would use just there's a spreadsheet that's just the MRA chart of accounts. In the beginning, I would just use that to track. I guess I shouldn't say that. I don't know how many transactions you're doing.
I haven't done any.
What are your goals this year?
Oh, I'm going big or go high. Like I have to swim. I don't have an option. So like, I mean, I'd love to get, I feel like 10 is too little. So let's go 15 or 20 homes, buying and selling, or you know what I'm saying? Like buyers or sellers, whichever.
So I'm not a CPA, nor am I giving tax advice. So
He wants that on
I
the
do that.
recording.
Yes. No, I'm not gonna hold you to anything.
The sooner you get it set up with a CPA, the easier it will be for you, because when you do make these closings happen, if you're not prepared on the LLC or how you're setting this business up, there could be some tax consequences to that.
Okay.
So I'm not a CPA, nor am I giving tax advice. Talk to them, not me. In the beginning, you don't have as many expenses, so a spreadsheet's fine. So as far as just keeping track of expenses in the beginning, it's not a big deal. Once you get probably above 10 transactions, or you're growing a team, 20 transactions, like you probably need something a little bit more professional to keep track of it. Because it'll get away from you really quick.
Okay, that's good advice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course.
If you get this, there's all kinds of.
Yeah, and yeah, so there's Jenkins. I like them. We also have another company. I think they're actually going to come talk here soon. Yeah, so I think there's one coming. You know what? Another thing on this, talking about here. So you can set this up however you want. I'll tell you what I do, and I'll tell you about some other models I know of. How about that? I personally, whenever a check comes in, I have one account that goes, and it's just like a savings account for like my taxes. Like I don't touch it. I put tax money in there. I put money it's like on commercial loans, they don't escrow your taxes and insurance. So I put everything in there. Like I keep track over here with that. And then I've got an account for like my expenses. And then I've got a third account that's like a savings account. So whatever my monthly expenses are, I keep 1.5 times that amount in my operating account, basically. And then I've got a tax account and a savings account. That's the model I use. I had a former team leader here actually told me about it, Chris Russell.
Landon, the upstairs, if you go and tell them I want 27% to go here and whatever else to go here, they'll automatically do that for you. Especially as a solo agent. I mean, I would get yourself a tax account, and before you ever think that whole dollar is yours, have that dollar that comes to you be what can be yours, and have it set however you want.
With that being said, I would recommend having a certain set aside for family reunion and mega camp. Just they'll hold the money in an account for you and write you a check for it at the time of the event. And that way you never have to worry about having money for it. It's the greatest thing I ever did.
Yeah, professional development.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, because if you're not good at managing your money, and I will just tell you over the years, I've had so many young professionals just in my drug world that they would come out of pharmacy school, they'd get their first paycheck.
Pharmacy, drug world, I'm like, drug dealer?
I knew.
What were they making? What were their
expenses?
He does know though. Like they would come out and they'd get their first paycheck and it's 10 grand. And I would set them all down before that first paycheck and tell them, don't go out and buy a Corvette.
Yeah.
And some took the learning lesson, and I had several who went out and bought a Corvette. But if you're not good at managing your money, or you need help, use the tools you have.
Yeah.
So go to Landon, have him, go get your bank account set up and have him dummy proof that for you. Because especially the younger you are, the more apt you are to just think that that dollar is your dollar.
Well, you know, we're talking about keeping track of it, having the MRA chart of accounts, like using not just a spreadsheet, but putting it into the chart of accounts helps you compare because Gary comes out and says, not only is it in the MRA, but he also gives out and says, hey, here are common practices for this level of agent and gives you different scenarios. And so when you separate it out, you can compare them to see how am I doing it.
Well, does everybody know what a chart of accounts is? Because I think that we take for granted that people understand all of these things. So,
I have no clue.
okay, I'll explain to you what a chart of accounts is, and Jason, you can jump in at any point. A chart of accounts is just, from an accounting standpoint, it's buckets where your money is going to be classified at.
Oh, I do.
It's buckets where your expenses are going to be classified into. So it's called the chart of accounts, and every accountant, whether you do it or you have an accountant do it, will separate your business based upon these buckets. And so one might be a revenue bucket, one might be a marketing bucket, you'll have, depending on how complex your business is, you may only have 5 or 6 chart of accounts.
Well, so one thing I'm gonna like absolutely say you have to do if you do this, if you call Jenkins, whoever, you have to have it in this format.
Yeah,
This
I
helps
definitely
you.
remember reading that.
Yeah.
So these are like the chart of accounts. These are
The
categories.
minimum,
Yeah.
the minimum buckets.
Yeah, these are like the categories.
Yeah.
Anyone else wants to see?
Okay, so I have the book, I just haven't finished it yet.
So these are the categories.
Oh, okay, so
I've
that's.
got a
the chart.
spreadsheet
Gotcha.
of something
Thank you.
similar, but way more in detail.
You don't even have to buy it.
Oh, wow.
If you go online, you can get that for free. You can download it for free.
Yeah, you can get a spreadsheet that has these categories and you can detail it out. So, but yeah, I highly recommend that. And that way you could see, because it's important to know, especially get a year down the road and see what percentage of my income did I use for advertising.
Well, it's the difference between being an educated business person and just being a consumer.
Yeah.
Because you can be a great real estate agent and you're just a consumer, or you can be a great real estate agent and you're a great business person. And I think too many people are so short-sighted that they're not good business people. I've seen so many agents who are terrible business people.
I use the Life by Design form. Yeah, that's like 90% of what I use to put like my different expenses and different things, but.
So that's just the plan.
Right, yeah. And then I have a whole budget worksheet based off of a lot of different expenses. Yeah, I gotta get a CPA.
There are good ones out there.
Jenkins CPA is one that we've already negotiated the deal if you wanted to. And there's lots of good ones. Or who does Amy use?
Amy, she has an accountant that's out of state because she does a ton of stuff with short-term rentals. And so she's got one that does a lot of cost
Harrison that she's using out of state.
Yeah.
So my bookkeeping.
BYO.
I think it's my bookkeeping something.
Yeah, she uses an acronym when she talks about it. She's not been that happy with them from a bookkeeping standpoint, but that's not her CPA. She has a different CPA, but she spends a significant amount of money. I get the same thing done, but I don't spend what she does. So we'll reconcile some of that, but find you good, smart people.
Oh, yeah.
And make sure it aligns with what you do. So like if you don't have investment properties, you don't need a cost segregation specialist. But if you do, might be smart. I mean, so make sure that you're operating with people who align with what you're doing.
Who's next? Sam?
Think and act the wage you want before you earn it. Averages as average does, good as
good it does, and great is as great does. What you do is who you become.
Yeah,
You notice it didn't say spend like the wage you want to be earn either, or the wage you want to become.
When I read this, what I thought of, what you do is who you become. And by focusing on profit and growing your profit, you can create more opportunities. You can create a bigger life. I remember a couple of years ago, I was talking to Adam Grady, and I don't think he would care that I share this. He's pretty open. And I remember him saying, he goes, I think if I were just me, he said, I'm pretty comfortable. It's like, I don't know that I have to expand all these other areas. It's like, I think if it were just me, I'm probably okay. He said, I don't know that I need that. He said, but the people in my world are wanting more opportunities. So I have a responsibility to grow out and grow this so I can provide more opportunities for them. So his profit is actually to give back to help the people in his world have a bigger life. And we all look at Adam, we're like, oh man, last year he did 555 deals and he's in 4 states and whatever. And that is amazing. Yet the amazing part is the opportunities he's creating, the lives he's changing. So to watch the progression and growth of Melinda Love on this team is amazing. Or Claire. I remember when it was Melissa, Adam, and Claire, and one admin. That was a big difference. And I think they did like 300 some deals at that time. Yeah.
Stressful.
Adam is just a machine, man. He is. So this is really because we were talking about coming up with a profit goal, and can we come up with a profit goal and back it out? Does everyone know how to do this? Does anyone not know how to do this? You guys want to work through an example together?
Let's do an example together.
Do it together?
Because why not?
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to use, what number do you guys want to use? You guys tell me the numbers. What's the net income goal you want to use?
$125,000.
Okay, be specific. Okay, 125,000 is the net income goal.
Oh yeah.
Now you write yours down, okay? I'm just going to show you how to do it. You write your own numbers down. So next is company dollar and royalty.
Sorry, that's a shy number, but.
No, I gave you a kudos, and then when you looked at me, I was like, I'm just laughing at you. I love you.
Okay, so this says 15% is company dollar and royalty and cap. We already know what the company royalty and cap is, right? So let's just use our number. What is it? 23,000. Mm-hmm. So that's B. Who knows how you get this number? Anyone really good at math?
When you take your 125 times 35%.
Okay, what is the number?
$43,750. Doesn't sound right.
Did you use 125,000?
Yeah.
Who agrees or disagrees? I'm gonna give it to you. So now, granted, your numbers are probably going to look different in your business because you're.
So how'd you get that number though?
You probably, hold on one second, and I'll tell you, you probably don't have operating expenses, or if you do, a really small.
Yeah, not significant ones.
So your formula looks different. Now your cost to sell might look different too, by the way, because your cost to sell is the opposite going to the team.
Yeah.
Yeah, by the way, I'm not pro or against team either way. I've actually been on both sides of the fence. Business expense is also, I could look at another way and say that's the risk, right? So as an agent on a team, you come in with little to no risk.
Yeah.
You don't have this, but your up here would be higher, your cost of sale, because you have a team split. So just explain, no right or wrong. Yeah. So how I got that was, so if we know that this says 35%, it means these two combined must be 75%. Do you agree with that? Or not 75, 65. You agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
So if we took this number divided by 0.65, that should give me the total amount. And then I could subtract the 125. Well, that wasn't right. That's not the right number. But still the same principle. 125 plus 23,000, 0.65.
I think your numbers are wrong. Yeah, his numbers are wrong. I'm not
About 79,692. That work?
I don't come up with the same number as you.
Yeah.
Well, let's work it out together. So what's 125 plus 23?
That's 148.
Okay. What's 148 divided by 0.65?
227.
And if you subtract out this 148,
$79,692.
okay.
Multiplying instead of dividing.
There might be another way to do it. This just happened to be the way I knew how to do it. Okay, and then what is D?
$227,692.
Okay. What average commission are we using?
$3% or 6%?
7,500.
7,500. Okay. Okay. So what's that come out to? What's F?
30.35.
So 31.
31.
You have to round it. You always round up.
You have to go up. We're going to be short.
I'd recommend writing this down in case later you're like, how did we do this? Because all I did was I combined A and B. And then since I know that this is 35% and this is 65%, I took this and divided by 0.65 to see what the total would be. It actually gave me the number D already. Then I had to subtract that out to get that.
Got it. Kind of.
How did you get the 23?
So I did the 23 because I said we know what our cap is at the market center. So we pay in cap and royalty 23,000. So this said to use 15,000, but or 15%. Rather than do that, I said let's just use the number we already know. We know it's 23,000. So
It's definitely a benefit of being on a team too, because mine's only 10 grand a year in total. It's 7 and 3, so
yeah.
Sweet.
Now your cost to sell would look different than everyone else's too.
For sure.
So, and you have little to no risk.
Right. I've been losing my job.
Yeah, I'll tell you that. So, I mean, look at Jen Davis, man, coming onto a team. So we're an open book company. Like there is a report that anyone can look at that's called a top-down report. Has anyone ever seen the top-down report? A couple of you. And it actually shows you what the checks were written to each agent. So you can see now if they have a mega team, it might look skewed because they have expenses that come out of that. But if you're an agent or a buyer's agent, it's pretty much what it says is what it is. I mean, Jen Davis was on a team making almost $500,000 a year as a buyer's agent.
Yeah.
Pretty incredible.
Yeah.
I'd say there's less than maybe in Springfield, Missouri, I bet they're less than 4%, 3 to 4% of the agents that make $500,000 or more net.
Off of sales, I would say even less.
Net, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Net, I'm saying 3 to 4%.
Yeah.
Make $500,000 or more
I
net.
bet it's less than there, 3 or 4%.
Maybe. Maybe. I mean, you're right. It could be.
I think there's probably a lot who say they do.
I haven't done this lately. I remember several years ago, I pulled stats to try to figure like what I thought, like percentage wise of agents in Springfield, what they made. And then this was like, maybe it was 3 years ago, maybe it was during the COVID time. And it was like 20% of the agents made $40,000 a year or more, and 7% made 6 figures. But when I looked at the 7% that was in that 7%, I was like, man, that 7%, I bet most of them are making like really great money.
Oh, yeah. There's such a gap for sure.
I know. I mean, yeah, so.
If they're not paying their taxes, don't mean nothing.
I love your takeaways.
That dollar wasn't their dollar.
She's like, I'll be say right now.
My mom and dad actually owned a
Previous
business
brokerage, true story. I mean, there was a high rolling agent at previous brokerage, and every year at the end of the year, the broker had to pay her taxes because otherwise yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I hope the broker was
really
holding
wanted
that out.
To pay her taxes, wow.
So, I mean, you probably have someone that does yours. You probably have been through this.
Yeah, I mean, I know who I will probably use when I get big enough.
Short version is when you go into command, this is how you submit to get paid.
The RTC does it.
So, if you have questions on this, you go into opportunities, you have to create the opportunity. You have to create the offer and accept the offer. You have to create it and accept it before you can submit it. But you get to that point, ask Jana or Landon. Honestly, Landon will walk you through it.
You can figure it out because I told you there are no easy transactions, but my first week here, I put a commercial building under contract and closed within 10 days. That does not happen. That was a lie. It's a lie transaction because I say it's just an anomaly. And I didn't know anything about command and still got through it. So you can figure it out. Don't be intimidated by it. I think it sounds far more intimidating.
And Landon is amazing.
And Landon is amazing.
Because so lucky to have him.
Yeah, because command does not quite work very well with commercial. That is the one thing that I'm learning. I'm going to be committed to making it work better because if you're not a part of the solution, part of the problem. Because yeah, it's a little more like I did a lease through command and I had to do it as a buyer. So because it just does not work. Landon and I both. And so if you've got a trick on that, I guess you can share.
Full transparency, I've never actually ran one through myself. So I've always had.
I think they always go in as buyers because that's what Landon, he ended up having to pull up somebody and he was like, yeah, that doesn't work.
I've always had an admin, so I'm not sure.
For, say it again, for like.
For a lease, a commercial
side?
lease.
Oh, yeah, I don't. For a lease, they've got another tab for leases.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Oh, very
Not
well.
the way you think that it.
I've never done it for.
Yeah,
lease.
no, there is, you're right.
Just don't work. Just don't work.
Not the way that you think it would.
Jeez.
Okay, what are your ahas? What are your takeaways for the financial section?
I think you have to be smart. You have to be wise.
Pay your taxes.
Everybody's got paid
Save
taxes.
out
Well,
for your
I will
taxes.
tell you this, my parents owned a business and they had a bad CPA that didn't put their stuff in order, right? And they had to pay like $50,000 to the government. And every day they were late, it was a 50% increase. So I'm just saying, like, you don't want to get upside down with them. 50% increase. Could you imagine, like,
No, I can't imagine that. That's insane.
Yeah, and if you owe money, I think the interest rate's like 12%.
no, it's 50% per day.
Maybe you
Well-
can go on payment plans.
Oh,
So you can go on payment plans, I think it's 12%.
But if you don't pay them, they
Yeah.
can levy your bank
yes,
accounts.
they can.
They can freeze your property and your other assets. I've had that happen to friends, and I'm telling you what, the one organization I never want to get in their crosshairs. That one, right there.
What are some of your other takeaways?
Pay yourself first. So
Yeah.
put money in the business before you touch anything else, because that's the top of that thing. That's the profit. Because you're not gonna be able to keep your business going, the thing that makes you money, if you don't put the money in the business later. I'll live off peanuts if my business is still running, but my wife and I'll make it, but you gotta keep the business going or we're actually not gonna make it. So pay yourself first and then pay the man,
I think a mistake I've seen people make a lot is they get to a profit point and then they're like the shiny penny thing. And all I'm gonna end up, you know what, realtor.com says they're gonna give me so many leads every month.
Oh my
And
gosh.
it's, you know what, it's only $5,000 a month, which is like, basically it's one closing. And then when that doesn't work out and you realize you're in a 6-month or a year contract and things like that, I've seen that a lot. Like,
Yeah, that's what Josh Keats was talking about, is they signed up for something that was
trying to feed the
Zillow.
beast. Yeah.
And he was like, we were spending, what do you say, $10,000-$15,000 a month. And then they were stuck for 12 months. So
I've been there.
that's, if you wanted to make $125,000 a year and you just gave it all to Zillow. I mean, that's what you should think about. I'm always say, make sure your money is working for you. And make sure that you're not service poor. That's lead gen services. That's look at what the market center provides or offers. Can you do your business with what you have already paid for via your cap or whatever, your royalty, and start there, especially if you're just starting out. You don't have to have all the fancy widgets.
Maximize what you
already have. And don't chase the shiny penny thing, because you can be poor. You can be making a lot of money and be service poor.
It's true.
Expense poor.
All right, so not quite there, actually. We're almost there.
No, that's the end. Once you get to that.
That's usually
that's
our
done.
end.
It usually is. There's a,
Oh, we get to keep going today.
Yeah.
Shocker.
we're a little, I'll wrap it up in a second.
No, don't.
You're
No,
good.
you're good.
Yeah, this one just keeps going a little bit. So in looking at your success system, so anytime you implement a new system, like it is a process, right? Like implementing a new process is a process in itself. And sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't. Like, and I know in the beginning of this, we started out by talking about what our challenges were with the success system. Now, what would you say would be some opportunities that you're like, so up to this point, I've been working on doing this. I'm making my 10 contacts, my social media. Like, what are the opportunities you say, I'm really going to work on this moving forward? What's that look like?
Well, for me, it's fully integrating my business into Command, because I've used different systems over the last couple of years. And if I'm going to use Command, I need to use Command. Yeah. And so I've made a personal, like, I'm going to hold myself accountable to it to integrate into Command. And man, it's a daily struggle, because it's easier for me just to go to DocuSign and get my stuff done. To go through Command, it's very intentional for me. So trying to be purposeful, trying to understand that if I do it this way now, it'll save me grief, time, agony, whatever on the back end. And just really, if that's going to be the system that I'm going to use, to make sure that I'm using it.
What about you guys?
Mine, it was with the contacts, getting them in, and being purposeful about uploading them, because I am a very forgetful person and there's still a lack in
getting the contacts in the database and then as well tracking that.
I'm kind of cheating because I'm gonna do bold, so I'm not adding my contact.
I know, I'm doing the same thing. I'm like, I'm not adding it for
Is
both.
that cheating?
No.
Should I feel really bad about that? I
No,
should.
You're only cheating yourself though, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, I'm still using my other system.
I was gonna say, I'm doing bold, but I'm just gonna try and go balls to the walls, you know?
Well,
I have added.
okay,
two
gosh,
new
guilt
contacts to
trippers.
my phone
I'm
this
still
week
not, I'm
about
still gonna do it
communication.
during bold, but
oh yeah.
you can make me feel bad, but I'm gonna be winning super big.
What were you saying?
I've added so many contacts to my phone and I haven't added them to command.
Oh, yeah.
And that's just this week, like every week.
You
they
can
just
connect
keep-
them though.
I know,
really.
and I need to just do that because it just keeps happening and it's so much easier to, in my head anyways, to jump into my
Do the
phone than
app.
I'm used to.
I
I'm not
have,
good at
no,
that.
I'm gonna lie because all new contacts I've been adding to command. I just haven't done field. So I'm half lying, half telling the truth.
Nicole could probably help you.
Yeah, I need to.
Oh,
get-
Nicole will do it in 2.5
I know,
seconds for
right?
you.
But my other big one is just tracking, so then inevitably I can take these and figure out what my 20% of my 20% is. So then I can hyper focus on that.
That's good.
Because one thing, if Brian's good at anything, it's coming up with new levers. He does a very good job at that. And so coming up with and actually utilizing those to hyper focus on what my 20% is, so then I can get more into that. Because the only under contracts I've had so far are all from Facebook leads, which is what everybody tells me is not typical. So I don't know, you know.
There's no right or wrong.
I mean, it's cool.
That's awesome. Yeah. Chris, what do you think?
I'm just trying to work on social media because I'm terrible at it. So I've learned a lot. I need to build like a Facebook business page. That's my goal.
Okay.
As far as conversations, I've had a lot of conversations during the day. I'm terrible at keeping track of things too. So organizing and keeping track of things is something else I need to work on.
Use command.
Yeah.
It will help you stay
I've
organized.
been putting in the notes in the contacts, so I remember, you know, what I said to who and when.
Who all in here is part of Shannon's group? You guys are? You are?
I didn't know about Shannon's group.
Coaching.
I don't know if you consider it.
Yeah.
Shannon's group's amazing. She helps with that. So it's kind of nice to have like some camaraderie. Like
It is.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
And she really does push you. She does.
My favorite
Pull
day
the
of the
best
week
out of you.
is Friday when her group comes down to Nixa.
Oh, I like that too.
So I like it whenever it comes down. The energy's great and like people.
Yep. Is that where your office is? That's where I've seen you, because I'm like, I know I've seen him somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go almost every Friday. I love it. So if you're not with Shannon, go up there and talk to her and say, I want to be a part of the coaching, because you won't regret it.
Yeah.
She needs another recruit, so go up there and tell her.
I can tell, like, if I don't go to any of the other things that week, like,
Yep.
by the time I get around to Tuesday, like I'm drained and I'm feeling like I need my people to like give me some, you know, like I can just tell by my motivation, my mood, like by the time I get to Tuesday, and then it revs up a little bit when we have sales meeting on Tuesday, and then when I come back in on Wednesday for coaching group, I'm like, okay, now I'm ready to rock. You know, like it's the weirdest thing ever.
That was a waste of my time.
Oh, I
Ever.
know.
She's like the perfect combination of care and kick you in the butt.
Yeah.
And she doesn't do it for you. She'll give you, okay, this is what you need to go do.
Yeah.
She doesn't give you the details of what to do. She makes you come up with what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
So she's a very good coach.
Yes, it is.
I really like that recon.
We like you, Shana. If you're listening, I know you probably are somewhere.
Who's up next? Back to you.
Gotta put the glasses back on.
Importance of accountability keeps your mindset focused and positive, reminds you of your big why, challenges you and makes you uncomfortable at times, is one of your 6 personal perspectives. Be accountable.
Yep. Different types of accountability.
People, accountability partner, productivity coach, mentor, KW Maps coach, and your tools are 411. I do not know what that is. Time blocking and the one thing.
So who in here has an accountability partner? Anyone?
You pretty much made them all in here.
Accountability partners are great because you know what, you're all in it together.
Yeah.
I mean, why do it alone?
Yes.
It's tough.
So true.
Right? Like we need to lean on each other. And productivity coach, that's Shanna's group. So
what's the difference between what Shanna does and a KW Maps coach?
Yeah.
So
Maps coaches are very expensive.
Not all the time, not all of them either.
But
Anyways, what is the difference?
So productivity coach in Shanna's group is provided by the Market Center, and it's set up like on a cost of sale basis, basically, right? Like there's a percentage of your closings that goes to the group to be a part of that. Shanna's group is a little bit more hands-on, and like, how often do you guys meet? 3 days?
At least 3 days, 2-3 days a week.
Right. So there's probably a little bit more training with Shanna's coaching. There is a lot more training with Shanna's coaching. Maps Coaching is an organization inside of Keller Williams where, I mean, we coach agents from around the country.
Yeah.
I have clients in Canada. A lot of my clients are agents that have teams. So I'm coaching a rainmaker or the lead buyer's agent, things like that, or director of sales. So we have a set expense.
So it's just a different level of coaching, maybe?
Well, I mean, I hate to say a different level because Shanna's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So it's just different.
Okay.
It's just different. I mean, so in Maps Coaching, honestly, in Maps Coaching, I'm going to expect, so Carrie, if you're in Maps Coaching, you're my client, I'm going to expect that there's a certain amount of this you already know and you're going to do. And I'm just here to help you redirect your mindset and gear you in the right direction and then hold you accountable. Shanna's going to, do you know your script? Do you need scripts? Let me walk through that with you.
Got it.
And so she has a lot more hands-on attention.
To me, it's different points in your career. Or I don't even know if that's even.
My thought process for Maps Coaching is like helping you get from E to P, like breaking through, because like I know that's what Brian uses his for. That's what I'm gonna, because I'm about to submit my application because I went to QL and I'm gonna try and do the free Maps Coaching.
Oh, awesome!
And find a good Maps coach and then I'll start paying them. But it's just like finding, once you have that limiting belief, or you have your ceiling, and then it's like helping push past that belief or push through that ceiling to increase productivity. So it's like, from what I've seen, it's like people who are producing, whereas like a lot of the people in the productivity coaching are either not producing or they're just learning. They're just now starting. And
That's kind of what I figured.
the understanding of it.
Awesome.
It's like a short version of that.
So what does the MAPS actually mean? Because I see it as like an acronym for something that I don't actually know what it means.
That's for agent productivity systems. So, you know what? Sheena's group is amazing and she has more time to give you. Maps Coaching is amazing. They're going to expect more out of you. Probably a better way to put it. I would say one nice thing on the map side is there's a lot of value in working with a coach when you get to a certain level that sees an experience from across the country. Like, man, your perspective changes when you talk to someone in New York City and then the next hour in California, and the next hour in Florida, and the next hour in Canada. Like my perspective changes when I have an opportunity to hear all around the country what their market looks like. And not just that, what their market centers look like. And there's just a different level to that.
Oh, I can tell you, we are incredibly blessed to have this market center because I'm in several Facebook groups and there are people who are floundering, even KW people, because they do not have the high touch market center. And every single time my heart breaks for them.
Not just that, the amount
blessed.
of talent we have in this market center is unreal. This is not normal. I mean, not at all.
I'm just saying we are incredibly blessed.
Oh, absolutely.
Incredibly blessed. Like, thank
Even
somebody
just how
around
everybody
you
in the
hallway.
office, like I keep looking for somebody that's not team focused. And that's not normal. I mean, even the last one I was at, like everybody was at everybody's throats because everybody was competing with each other.
Oh, I read something about this the other day that it's success is when you no longer see people as competition, but you see them as co-opetition or like collaboration.
Yeah.
That's when you know you've actually reached success.
That makes it fun to come to work. It's like I get so excited to come.
Honestly, I really do believe we have to give a lot of credit to Dan and Adam because their leadership has trickled down over the years. And I mean, there are a lot of amazing people and now and in the past, but really, I mean, I think Ron Steffes in the beginning kind of had this vision, and I think Dan and Adam just ran with it, and not just their production level, their leadership here in the market center over the years. And it's actually been fun to watch because at one point Adam had more of a leadership role here or more hands-on, and then kind of Dan stepped up and Dan's now taking it and Dan's doing a great job with it. So it's been kind of cool to see.
It's really fun. I enjoy it.
Again, we're blessed.
So 411, great tool. Everybody should have. Does anyone have a 411? Has anyone ever done one? You have, of course you have.
I have.
Brian.
Yeah.
I should have just assumed one lead.
He's just raised by KW, so he used the KW. So.
We need shirts that say raised by KW. I like
You
that.
should make those.
I love that. The 411, it's a sheet, it's a tool that we have here at KW. And it's basically, what's your one goal for the year? So how many units are you looking to sell?
Let's say 15.
15 units. You don't have to answer this out loud. Do you have a net profit that you're saying that by selling 15 units, this is my net?
No, I haven't done that, but I just did whatever you just did for the year, but that would be next year, but I haven't done.
15 units, that would be your one goal. I might even say make that a profit because then there are other things that factor in. What's your one goal for the month? So like I might say my one thing.
Well, I do have a goal because they're doing the July challenge for the most listings. And I'm like, I want to win that. So Shanna and what's her Tori, thank you. I should know what my name's Tori. Anyways, she's like, go for five listings. Oh, okay, here we go, challenge.
So that would be something you would put on your month. So this is the year, this is the month, and this is there are 4 weeks in the month. And so you've got to think in the reverse terms, because if your goal is to sell 15 units, and let's just say, I'm making this number up, like let's just say that made you $100,000. Then you would say, my goal is $100,000. And then for the month, I'm going to get 5 listings signed. I need to go on 8 listing appointments, and I need to make sure I keep my expenses less than.
And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, okay, so then what are my daily tasks? Which that's my goal to talk to Shannon tomorrow. What are my daily tasks that need to be done every day to reach that goal?
So then I'm going to come up with my weekly goal. And I'm going to say, well, this week, my goal is I need to go on 2 listing appointments. I need to get 1 signed, and I need to make 100 contacts, whatever. I'm making those things up. Like, and then that would be your 1 week. And then the next week you would look at it and say, what did I accomplish last week, or what did I not accomplish? Now that's where I'm going to transfer it to this week. This is a 1-page form that basically you put your business plan on 1 sheet of paper. You can carry it around everywhere you go. Time blocking.
I'm trying to get that.
That's called sanity. That's what I call that, sanity.
Yeah, real quick insert, Corey, like based off of the goals,
I've broken it down into, at this point, I'm looking based off my goals. It gives me like how many appointments do I need to be setting per month? And that's like, and then I break it down from there. So like my goal is maybe lofty, but like I'm trying to close one buyer and one seller a month at least. And then so that files down based off percentages to about 3 and 4 appointments I need to set per month. So it's just, I mean, it really, if you break down the math based off percentages, and then once you have a bunch of transactions under your belt, you can break it off of your percentages, and it's even better. Like, and then like for me, I'm a very goal-oriented, like very high D. I have to see exactly the numbers so I can try to hit those numbers. So for me, it's like, okay, I need 7 appointments this month. What are we gonna do about that? And you need how many conversations to convert an appointment? Okay, I need to have 100 conversations today. Yeah, you know, like I gotta figure this out. So,
you know, time blocking. One thing that I'd mentioned here. Time blocking is really just energy management. Like it's really just energy management, isn't it? Like, I think sometimes we hear time blocking so much that we're just like, oh, it's just on my calendar.
I say it's scheduled accountability. Like it's where I tell myself it's scheduled accountability.
it's fire.
Because when I see that on my schedule, like I look at my schedule the night before, I know, hey, scheduled accountability. So
That's good.
You know, the one commitment that most people have the hardest time keeping, or I'm gonna rephrase that. What's the one promise most people don't keep?
time
To themselves. Like we will keep these promises we make to other people before we keep them for ourselves.
scheduled accountability.
Yeah, and we only have so much energy. We only have so much time. And matter of fact, my energy is going to be different at different points in the day. Like my energy is the highest of the morning. Man, you guys can think I'm crazy. Like 3 or 4 in the morning, man, is my highest energy level of the entire day. And
Do you get up at 3 or 4 in the morning?
I was up at 2:30 this morning.
On purpose?
Mhm.
Okay. What time did you go to bed?
Last night I was in bed by 8:30.
Okay.
So I normally am in bed around 8 to 9. I'm normally up somewhere between, I'm normally on a normal basis, 3:30 or 4.
See, I'm a 5 a.m.
I'm a 5 a.m.
Yeah, that's the military in us both. I'm still a 5 a.m. 2 decades out of the military.
I get addicted to how much I can get done before everyone else gets out of bed.
Yes.
And so,
Yes.
because I used to get up at 6 and then I was like, I'm gonna get up at 5:30. Then I was like, wait, no, I'm gonna get up at 5. And then I was like, maybe I'll do 4:30.
I thought about pushing it further because I feel like my workout's been taking too long in the morning. I'm like, I could be so much more productive before I have to start making phone calls. It's like,
So
Except I probably don't go to bed until midnight. And I'm still a 5 a.m.
that
person.
makes me cringe.
Me too.
know.
So early.
That's been my lately is midnight, and then I'm up at 5 with the dogs. And they don't give you a choice. And my kids don't give me a choice. I'm up till midnight. So
do you guys know who Sajik Patel is? Sajik, he's Keller Williams. Oh, okay. So basically, Sajik is, so there's Sajik, there's Mark King, and then Sajik, basically. Okay.
Spell that name?
Sajik, S-A-J-A something.
Sajik? I don't know.
Sajik.
Okay.
Hold on, I'll look at my phone.
I put it down, so no.
Now you have a question. I should know this. So he was actually my coach for years.
I've seen the name. I totally know. I don't know.
S-A-J-A-G. So anyways, one of the things I respect so much about him, this guy went in as a MAPS coach. He had a team. He went in as a MAPS coach and just was like obsessive over training. And then quickly made his way up to being like, I'll say the top 20% of the coaches. And he didn't stop there. And then at one point in time, he was like, he could have ran MAPS, didn't want to. He was the second to the person before Jen, which was Monica. And And then he got an opportunity to be in segments, and now he's underneath Mark King. This guy gets to the office at 4 a.m. Like, I get out of bed at 4, he's at the office at 4. He's out of bed at 2 o'clock in the morning. Because he wants to get his run in, and he wants to get his reading in before he gets to the office to start working.
I see my night goes way too long to get up that early.
This guy's like a machine. Like
I know my kids have me up till midnight. Mom.
You know the Terminator movies? Like he's the Terminator, like in my mind. Like this guy is a machine. When he was my coach, he would text me at like 4 or 5 in the morning. Hey, you said you were gonna get up and work out this morning. Did you work out? Dude, it's 4:30. I was like, what are you waiting on? Like, oh my gosh.
That's far.
But that's good though. That's what I would need. Somebody to be like, dude, what are you doing? I'm getting out of bed right now.
Or, you know, it's 5:30. He's like, hey, you said you were gonna text me when you're done. I haven't got a text from you. Where are we at on this?
Okay, I have a chiropractor appointment. I'm not missing. I'll be back.
All right. Awesome. So basically, let's hit the highlights of this last little section. So we went way over and we've had lots of great conversation. Now this is the last section. We want to make sure we're planning for what the future looks like. Has anyone ever done a growth plan in here? You guys have? Okay. So have you done one recently?
Yep. It's been a couple months, but yeah.
Sweet. Okay. So the short version is planning out where you want your growth. That's really what this section is about, planning out where you want your growth, revisiting it, have someone hold you accountable to it. We talked about accountability partners or a coach, Shanna, whatever that looks like plan out your growth. Your business or your income will never outgrow your mindset. Think about that. It will never outgrow your mindset. Your business grows to the extent that you do. If you grow yourself, your business will follow. It never goes the other way. It's interesting to think about it that way, right? So everybody's right now probably doing some version of that for learning. Here's some events coming up. Who's going to Mega Camp? You are going?
I don't know yet.
Well, I'm trying to go.
Trying to. Totally should. It's amazing. I'll tell you what, the first event I went to, I think first one I went to was family reunion. And man, it was life-changing. Coming to Keller Williams was life-changing. That event was life-changing. I've had a great career. That's not what was life-changing. I'm a better dad. I'm a better husband. Like, it's just changed everything about me. It's amazing. If you have an opportunity to go, highly, highly recommend it. If you can't go to the events, start with the books. We were talking about millionaire real estate agent, millionaire real estate investor, right? Start with the books.
Shift is fantastic.
Shift.
That's what I'm working on right now.
Is it?
Just reading the Shift. Yeah, that's fantastic.
I try to read Millionaire Real Estate Agent and Shift, and one thing I try to read them every year. So I read them every single year. Just make sure, because you learn something new every time you read it. You're a different point in life. Here's some courses as well. So 6 personal perspectives we talked about. Bold. Who's going to Bold? You're going Bold. You're going Bold. You're going Bold.
I'm probably going to go.
What?
I'm like,
okay, so
it's a financial thing. I mean, I'm like,
I'll pay your way.
I'm at the bottom of my barrel, so.
I'll pay your way.
And I know there's ways to do it, but yes, I feel like after Ignite, like that would be the perfect thing to like.
This will be the best Bold we've ever had. So I'm one of the investors at the Market Center. Me, Dan, Adam, Rhett, we're all sitting around. Every one of the investors is going to Bold this year.
Oh, that's sick.
Jen's going to Bold this year. Like, the level of people in this room will be really high level. Like, this will be the best Bold we've ever had. I know our goal personally is to get 150 people in the room. So, and Dan is a man on a mission. He says he's going to make this the best one we've ever had. So, Quantum Leap, obviously, Quantum Leap's good, right?
Yeah.
Good.
If you haven't done Quantum Leap, you need to do it.
Yeah.
And
If you don't know where you're going or how you're getting there, do Quantum Leap.
I think I'm gonna end up doing the instructor course at the end of the year. And Brian is already planning on teaching another one sooner than later. So I mean, they're fantastic. They
The
are.
only thing I'll say, Brian did it in one day, which I think is super, super tough to do
It's
because
thick.
it's so
for
thick.
sure.
Because my daughter, when she came out of the 1 day, and I think I had like 3 days, maybe 2 or 3 days. Yeah, whatever it was, we both had different perspectives. Like I feel like it was so much more condensed in 1 day versus the 2 day.
Yeah.
It's a lot to cover.
The hard part with doing it in 1 day is, or the hard part about doing it over 3 days is that's 3 days you're not generating a lead or working.
No, I
at all,
agree.
you know, so. It's just this stuff.
Agent Financials is also a great class. Business Planning Clinic is in October. So when you see that on the calendar, you absolutely do not want to miss that. So they always have great instructors come in for it. And the material is amazing. So it really is amazing. And it's 1 full day of just like you'll walk out of there with a business plan. Career visioning, it's in September for anyone that's interested. Trainer presenter, I don't think we have any coming down recently, but it's a great class. If you ever have an opportunity to go to trainer presenter, doesn't matter what your intentions are, it can help you at all levels. It's an amazing class.
What is that?
Trainer presenter, it's basically, trainer presenter is a 2-day class where it focuses on the skill sets of presenting. So there's that one, and then there's an advanced level. The first one is basically day 1, they teach you all of the material. Day 2, you come in and you present. And then they give you feedback. So the advanced, the only difference in the advanced is that you have to teach KW material. In the first one, you can write your own whatever you want to write. Customer experience, you don't see this class very often. When it does come around, it's a really great class for all levels. Win-win negotiations is good. So all of those are really good. I will say the 6 perspectives, I would put that on your growth plan. Everybody should have it on your growth plan at least once a year.
So what's a growth plan? What is that?
Oh,
I guess I'm not familiar with that one.
It's basically, it's just a 1 page where you write out what your plan for growing for the year. So what classes you want to attend, what books you want to read, things like that. So, so what I do is I write out, here are the classes I want to attend. Well, I'll tell you what I personally do, not to say you have to do it my way, is I write like, okay, well, here are the areas I want to grow this year. So I want to grow my coaching skill set. I want to grow my leadership. And there are different things for different years. And so I would just write out, here are the areas I want to grow. And then I would go to the classes. What classes do I want to attend that will help me grow in those areas? I'm gonna write those out. And then I go and I find when are they taught. And then I put it like, okay, well, that's taught in January. So like in September, I'm going to Austin for coaching skills camp. November, I'm going to coaching skills camp advance. Like I went in and just planned out the dates I want to go to. So that way I know 12 months in advance what I want to attend.
Where can you find the dates in that far in advance so you know what's coming for the year instead of getting
The calendars are posted.
That's local.
But that's
just. But I mean, you can definitely start there.
But that's month by month, right?
No, it's out. It's out
I
quite a
didn't know
ways.
that. So where do you get the ones that are?
I think it's on Connect, right? And it's on the Market Center's page.
Yeah, if you wanted a regional dates, you can talk to Rachel. Rachel has some, or Nicole, they can come up with some regional dates if you have some classes you're interested in. The hard thing with the regional is they don't lock them in very far out. So sometimes they'll say, we're going to be teaching this in September, but they might not tell us what date until it gets closer. If it's a regional, or I mean, if it's a national, a lot of times they'll have those out. Yeah, a year in advance, 6 months in advance. So
because they have to put venues.
Yeah, unless they do it at KWRI or something, but yeah. If I'm sure your team has one of those growth plans, if not, I could get you one. Cool. And you know, with my coach, so I do one, and then at the beginning of every month, I tell him, here's what I'm going to do. And at the end of the month, he asks me, he holds me accountable to it. Matter of fact, on my 411, I have to put on there whether I did my growth portion or not even.
Yeah.
So he holds me accountable to my growth because my business won't grow unless I am.
Yeah, every Monday morning, the first hour at work is recycling through what the 411 and GPS has looked like, and if we're staying up to date with them.
Military, doesn't surprise me.
It's a come to Jesus moment if you aren't staying with it, you know?
That's awesome. All right, so Keller Williams' mission: to build careers worth having, businesses worth owning, lives worth living, experiences worth giving, and legacies worth leaving. So thank goodness Gary came up with this. Get real about your situation, get right about what you're doing, bring a greater sense of clarity, priority, and focus your work. I mean, really, like, as we've talked, this whole session has just been about getting clarity on your why. What are we doing? I'm just fast forwarding, guys. So really, like, here is when we decided out for the remainder of the year, this is what we've kind of been laid out for the class. And my one thing that I would leave you with on that is, if you don't have a growth plan, I would encourage you to do one. If you can't think far enough for the whole year, just think for the next 30 days. And then share it with someone.
And tell them to hold you accountable.
That's right. Okay, last all halls for the class.
We're so blessed.
Yeah.
We're just so blessed.
Any other all halls from today? Was this worth our time?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, there's a lot.
Definitely.
There are a million tools in the toolbox of KW, and I think the biggest ones are actually implementing them and getting after it, because like it's just, that's what it comes down to.